Hey everyone, this is NJ here, host of the NJ podcast, and this is season 2 of the conversations, and this is episode number 26 that we're recording. And remember, the theme of the show is that success is a progressive realization of where the ideal. That means you're going after what you've always wanted to go after because it's aligned with your highest values. That's the only way for you to live a truly fulfilled life. So go after what's worth it for you, so don't live a life that is not yours. And on the show today, we've got a friend I've known for how long, was you? A while.
Yeah, for a while now.
Yeah, so we'll say a while. And she's I'd like to call her traditionalist and a food enthusiast. I saw her Instagram page. I'm like, why is it only food here? What's going on here? Then it's been a long journey, and when I decided to get married and do things the proper Swati way, I didn't know she was part of the real house. I'm like, oh wow, yeah, look at that. So then it helped me a lot on that journey. So thank you very much. And her name is Khanya Nkosi. There we go. So Khanya, thank you very much for coming to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's a great time. So tell us about yourself. Where are you from? Why are you here? And we'll get into the big question that people want to know. Where are you going?
Who am I?
Yeah.
So I am Khanya.
Khanya. Oh, okay.
Yes, I live in Swati Nkosi.
Mm.
That's my full name. And I'd like to say that I am, you can say a food enthusiast, but it's more of a foodie. I'm more a cook.
You're more a cook?
Yeah. I just love food, man.
Mm.
So I'd call myself a cook. I love planting and gardening, so I'd also call myself a gardener.
You're a gardener. Okay.
Yes. I like planting my own vegetables.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of those.
Yes, one of those. And yes. So in terms of a traditionalist, yeah, well, it's just something that I'm learning along the way as I'm growing older, as parents are growing older as well. It's something that's slowly being imparted to us as we are the next generation to really take over.
Let's go back to the whole thing of being a food enthusiast. You know Lisa God. He's a
comedian.
Yeah,
Yes.
Comedian. Like,
Yes.
a great joke about people making things out of things that are not things, you know. And one of the things that he was joking about is that people call themselves foodies. And he asked, what is a foodie? And that's a person who's into food. And he was like, everyone is into food. What are you talking about? You know, everyone is into food. And I remember seeing a billboard of McDonald's. It said, unleash your inner foodie. I'm like, McDonald's? You're a foodie? Having food? I thought it was just like your burgers and everything. But like, so you say you're a foodie, is that something where you eat things that are not things, or is it an actual thing?
I don't know if it's actually an actual thing.
Yeah.
It's just something that we started being called, and I was like, okay, I can work with that. But my definition of a foodie is not only someone who loves food, because everyone loves food,
Yeah.
but it's your passion for it. It's your you look at what you eat, you look at what you make, you get excited about what you cook. It's besides cooking as well. It's going to restaurants, trying different things, and being really into it. It's speaking to chefs about different food. It's speaking about. It's just being really. It's passion more than anything, beyond anyone else loving food. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So still, you being a food enthusiast, the difference between you and me, I want to eat and have a good taste of it. You will be like, taste the thyme, taste the spice, taste the nuances of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And asking, how did you make this? What have you got in here? And just being intrigued about the combination of flavors.
Yeah.
You know?
That's good. How do you end up becoming a food enthusiast? Like with being that into food? Like the finer details of food. Everyone is into food, but like the finer details of food.
It's a passion that I actually, it just sort of happened. It's not something I grew up with, because my mother used to force me to cook. That's how we learned how we cooked when we were younger. I was very young. I was like, 11, 12. The first thing I learned how to cook
Object.
You know, I grew up with a very strict mother that believed a Tombazane must cook.
Yeah.
So I really disliked it because I don't like being forced to do something not handy.
Yeah.
So I I started liking it when I actually took up home economics.
Okay.
So beyond the you know, what you see on Instagram, that's where the foundation is. I learned we learned about flour, we learned about the different tastes, we learned about what happens when you substitute this and this.
Yeah.
So, and I enjoy the practicals. And then after that, it's just something that I grew passionate about. When I actually moved with my sister, where ekhaya we eat lamb curry and curry rice, or lamb curry and jib. My sister always had this thing of trying something new, and that's the one thing she imparted on me. And when I was unemployed and living with her, that's something I actually wanted to try. And I started trying different things. If I go to a Pick n Pay, whatever it is, and I go to a shopping mall, and I see something new, I'll Google it, and then I'll grab it, I'll buy it, I'll try it. So that's how I started getting to know different herbs, getting to know different anything really. Yeah.
So that was the progression of it.
Yes.
For me, the admission is that I can cook the basics. The basics enough
That's
for me to
good.
be alive. Okay,
That's
enough for me to be alive. But the next step I want to take is actually going to like cooking school.
Okay.
For me.
Yeah.
For me and for everyone else, but like more for me, because when I get into something, I just want to be like Salt Bay and what's this Jamie Oliver and Gordon Ramsay, but just basically like, because I mean, yeah, you can take your chicken and put it in the oven, you can put rice on, but it's not foodie type vibes. So for a person who wants to become a foodie and get into being able to like cook properly, if that's a thing, what would you suggest they do?
The one thing I also did was cooking classes.
Cooking classes.
I don't know if they still have them because of the pandemic, but there's different cooking studios and different actually people that studied that provide cooking classes, and they'll give you a menu. Like I learned how to make, what's this Asian meal? That one is it boa or something like that?
Sure.
Yeah, so you can actually go to, you don't even have to go to cooking school, because for me, chef culinary school is quite, I tried.
It's kind of quite
It's expensive. No, it's expensive. No,
okay.
price-wise. I really wanted to do that.
Yeah.
So if you want to learn something new, there's actually cooking classes, especially in Joburg. There's actually cooking classes. Look at what they're cooking at that day, and go for it. You can start there. Unless you want to learn like pastry, how to bake hige, and the different meats and your cuts, and they go into detail. But even at the cooking, the culinary schools, they do have short courses.
Oh, you have a short course.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I just want to, because I was listening to, who was it, Miles Monroe, rest in peace. He was preaching a sermon on these unrealistic and these false expectations within a marriage. There's this Western idea that the woman must do all the cooking. And then I was like, no, that's not true. Let's open up the Bible. Like, what happened? It's like in the Bible, the men do the cooking. I'm like, really? Where? And then there was the story of Jacob and Esau. And Isaac was like saying to Jacob, please make that stew that I like so much. It's a guy.
It's a guy.
So go make that.
Yes.
And most of the well-known chefs out there are males.
Yeah.
I'm not just not responsible.
Yes.
But like I don't know a celebrity female chef.
Yes. Gone are the days.
Gone are those days, man.
Gone are those days. And another thing, it's evolved. Women also working 9 to 5s now. Women also have the same, almost, not only the same, similar responsibilities as men do. So why can't you also cook? Why do you have to wait for me to get home from work? You might well pick. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
It's the responsibility of the woman, okay.
Yeah, but what were you doing before?
Playing FIFA.
Okay, I get eat your FIFA. Eat your FIFA.
So what's your favorite dish, right?
I'm still like lamb curry and dombolo.
What is it about lamb curry?
I don't know. Like there's this combination that happens that just works.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just a sucker for flour. So whether it's dumpling, ikunya, okay, not so much cake anymore, but yeah, anything to do with flour, I love it. So even if I have ujeka with buchisi, I love that.
It just does the things we
yeah.
want to be done.
Yeah, to be done. It's to be done.
So like my favorite, one of my favorite dishes when I go home to my mom is her lamb stew. It just melts in
you see?
It just like melts, like you barely
you see?
It's just like,
and what's nice about mothers is that when you come home, when you come to visit them, they'll ask you, what would you want me to make? And they literally just, and that's what makes it better, because it's like, this was made for me.
Yeah, exactly. There's something about food that just makes you feel better.
Yes.
I remember with years back, I just had a tough time in life in general. And my mom was like, can we make you that lamb stew? I'm like, okay.
If you must.
If you must, I mean, it's not really necessary, but like, I'll take it,
Yeah.
And then someone asked me if I was on my deathbed. Not my deathbed, no. They say, you know, death row?
Yeah.
They say, what is your last meal
Yes.
before you die?
Yes.
I said, I let my last meal be my mom's, and then it's true.
No, I totally understand that. Yeah, don't bring me no KFC, just tell my mother to just make the things.
Just tell her to make that lamb stew. It will be the most difficult meal she ever makes, but
But you know that you're going.
Yeah. So if you are on death row, let's say this is your last meal you're ever gonna have on earth.
No, it'll be the same. The lamb curry and dombolo. Bring me that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then after that, like, okay, so what? Just lamb, you know. And then after that, what do we have?
Bring me ujeqele with like buttered. Why? Yeah.
You love it that much.
Yeah, no, I do. Especially with maybe with butter and then tea. Yeah.
What tea?
Like the combination of the two.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah. I also. Yeah.
You know, like as a foodie, I was really expect.
No, like what? Oh, consomme.
Yeah, yes. Like you know, you go to those restaurants and then like you pay 6,000 rand for like a dish of scotty, and there's got like the sauces that was like put over it to make it still look fancy than it is.
I think those are just nice to taste. It's nice to eat them lapo. They've got their places. But when I'm lying there and about to, bring me ask mom to make it just like you.
Yeah.
Mom, you taught me this.
Yeah.
Make it for me. Yeah.
100%. So, so like you quite like a following of like 67,000 people. Maybe not that much, but like it's good in the thousands.
Where? On Instagram?
It's
I think it's about 27,000. Yeah.
So like what do you title yourself on Instagram as a food enthusiast or?
No.
Because all I see is like food.
I don't like titles.
Yeah.
I would have liked to I just say I'm a cook.
Okay.
But I'm on Instagram and they're naming it is a chef. I'm not a chef though.
Yeah.
But I just term myself as a cook. Yeah. Foodie, a cook, a recipe developer, because that's what I've literally been doing with the influencer work.
So you develop recipes from scratch?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Because when I share what I've made. It's not something that is like a copy and paste. It's this is how I made it, look. And sometimes when I make the same thing, it doesn't taste the same. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And when brands jump on, they'll give you something that you haven't used, and you have to be creative with it. That's developing something new that you've never made. So I'd say, I'm a recipe developer. And then I call myself a food stylist. I haven't only this is that's based on what I've produced.
Yeah.
You know, I make it look good. it's styling a simple lamb curry into something that says, oh, what's that? You know, even though you can see what it is. Yeah, well, so yeah, that's, you know.
Food's down here. It's not
But that's the
I've
thing.
heard of a hairstylist. Never heard of a food stylist.
I'd call myself that. Yeah.
She's like that's good. So you mentioned your lamb curry.
Yes.
You mentioned dombolo that's buttered.
Uh-huh.
Outside of that, you haven't mentioned beef, you haven't mentioned fish, you haven't mentioned chicken.
Yeah, I mean, I like everything.
Yeah.
I like exploring as well. So I'll try new things. But the one thing I do enjoy is sushi.
Sushi.
I don't make it, but that's the one thing that I actually thoroughly enjoy. Once a week, my sister and I will go on a sushi date. Like, it's our thing.
Yeah.
So I enjoy that, but I enjoy everything. But if I had to choose between the meats, it would be lamb, it would be chicken nowadays, because red meat at the moment is my body's rejecting it, but it's fine. No, get on
Tell me your kind. I'm not from yet.
Yeah.
So how do I go about spicing up my meals?
Spicing up your meals.
Not literally spicing up, but like adding some variety to the food that I eat.
It depends on what you're eating. Like, give me
Chicken, baked potatoes. If this is just me by myself, chicken, baked potatoes. That's.
It depends how do you make your chicken. Like the one time I decided to make skewers, and I marinated my meat, spiced it up, and then I added different things. I'd add green pepper, red pepper, onions, a bit of garlic, and then I'd serve that with. Then I'd change my potatoes up. I'd take my potato, I would boil it a little bit. I'll try to crush it up and stick it into the oven with all the spices. It depends on what you're making. Don't limit yourself to what you can do with. Don't eat the same thing over and over again.
You know, like there's these because I like the gym and the bodybuilding guys, and they were like, "You must eat like a dog." I'm like, I don't think I want to eat like a dog. What do you mean eat like a dog? Dog, you can feed it the same thing at the same time, you'll still be happy.
Yeah.
And that gets a bit boring at times, because one of my favorite meals is just noodles, some fish, and pill shots. Because it's easy to make.
But even noodles, you can. I mean, in varsity, I used to like Sundays. That's how my mother taught me. Sundays I used to do 7 colors in varsity. I used to buy my butternut, put it in the oven. I used to roast my chicken.
You just get this right what 7 colors is, make sure that I know 7 colors, but let me try to describe it. It's being part of a black family, you will know what 7 colors is. It's a Sunday meal. It's got tamaboji, it's got the beetroot, it's got the butternut, it's got the spinach, and the rice. Then there's the chicken or the protein, and then what's the 7th one? Like,
no, I think the right term. I think we know 7 colors from our parents.
Yeah.
That's how 7 colors. But I think I was reading somewhere where it says it's several colors. So I don't know. Hey, so when I say 7 colors, it means just more than one for me. Whether it reaches 7, I don't know. I think it's several colors.
That's something. That reminds me of something. I was only happy with the black community. We'll take a word and make it something else. Like remember staring. Yes, staring. We have to explain to the whole what staring is.
Like a movie.
Yeah,
Because
like
it's
one
staring.
They don't die.
Yeah.
I'm on day staring John Wick. Guy doesn't die at all.
Yeah.
So what happens is like, what's staring? Like at the credits it says starring. So that is what is our staring.
I should have gone whether they all listed there.
Exactly. No, but we take it as it's that guy.
Yeah.
That's not going to die. Chuck Norris is about to die. Don't worry, that man is a staring. He is not going to die.
Wow.
And also, I remember, you know those VHS tapes? We used to record, all these starings.
Yeah.
There was I think it was a Van Damme and Tongpo. And Tongpo had his own movie.
Okay.
I don't know which cousin of mine, instead of writing Tongpo, wrote Tom Paul. I'm like, who is Tom Paul? Who is Tom Paul? That's us making words out of
something that's probably there, but it's just
not. Steady Tom Paul, and now several colors.
Several colors. What had happened to me? Okay, it happened live to me.
Oh, what happened?
In 2010.
Yeah.
Where Philip is here. I lie to you not. I'm just like,
Who's Philip?
Who's Philip? No, but like, I didn't ask. I was just with the Philip until one day, and like years later, this is like after 2010. It's like, yeah, Philip, it's here. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm not a victim. So yeah, I understand. I relate.
That's so nice speaking Turkish sometimes. That took me out. There's several colors.
It's actually several colors. Yeah. So but going back to varsity, even noodles. I used to beef up my noodles. I'd buy the chicken ones, and then I'd add like mushrooms. Obviously within the student budget. But I'd make a meal out of it.
Yeah.
Only now do I eat like simple noodles. Yes, I still eat noodles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with
Yeah,
noodles.
you know.
Nothing wrong.
Yeah. So that's where it started. I've always been like that.
Okay, all right. So do you subscribe to? So do you have cookbooks and are you on Pinterest? Because I know some people are like, Pinterest is like gold for if you have recipes or whatever it is.
I'm on Pinterest, but I don't use it for like myself. I use it more for searching for things.
Okay.
That's
what I meant. Do you search for recipes?
I search for inspiration more than anything. And maybe if I'm like, okay, because the way I cook most of the time, I've got the meal in mind already, especially if I'm planning, okay, today it's not just me eating and us eating. Today I'm planning to post something, I want content. Okay, what haven't I made in a while? Or, okay, actually I just bought new plates. I'm also obsessed with crockery. So I'm like, okay, I've got this new plates, what will look good on it? And I first envision the meal, what I want it to look like. And then I plan around that. So sometimes if I'm lost, I'm just like, okay, I just got a blue crockery. what would look good on that, you know? And then I plan it from that point. So yeah, I do use Pinterest. And I use YouTube sometimes, especially when it comes, I didn't study culinary. So sometimes when I need to clean something, or I'm using, the first time I bought mussels, how do I clean this thing? What does it look like if it's clean?
Explain what culinary is.
Like culinary art, so culinary studies, it's the study of food, kitchen, culinary.
So it's studying to be a foodie.
No, to be a chef. That's the difference.
Is that what they call it, culinary school?
Yeah, like it's actually called Mobile Chef. They are specializing in culinary arts. Mona, it's an
actual art.
Yeah, it's an actual. Well, I've always seen food as an art. It's a way you can express. But Mona, they've got a knowledge, and they've studied, and they've practiced, and they've acquired knowledge behind every recipe or every ingredient, how you treat it, how you clean it, how you even how you hold a knife, how you, all those things. So maybe I've used YouTube for me. I bought mussels. Okay, how do I clean this thing? Because it looks dirty. It looks like it just came from the sea. So I've used a bit of YouTube. Yeah.
Okay. And what about brine? You brine or?
Listen, the one time it took me 4 hours to make a fire.
4 hours to make a fire?
No, please don't judge me.
I'm not judging.
And it's just like, I came up.
Was it the first time?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just like, hey, go. Okay, but now I've mastered it. Cigarettes, yeah. So
if I hired you, it was like, okay, today I'm just hiring Khanya. I don't want to do anything to do with the kitchen. She must just go and cook. We'll start the fire, I'm going to pray.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's the ones. He's the
okay.
ones. I would be like, it's not fine for me. I'm like, I got this. I got this.
Got you. I've got my lighters, I've got my matches, I've got my wood.
Yes, that's actually the one thing. That's why I wish I had a house, because I'd love to learn to cook on the fire more. Because now you don't shedding. Now you don't shedding. And obviously we stay in places where they just like, no, you must go down to the clubhouse to use the fire. You can't use it's so many rules.
Yeah.
So you end up saying like just to use the fire.
Yeah.
So that's why I wish I had my own home where I know the wood even if it's load shedded. You I'll wait.
I'm joking.
He's only guys.
No,
but
it's just for
the fire.
It's just for the fire. How much is the soul worth?
Literally.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'd love to learn how to. I think there's a lot of you can actually tell the difference between dried meat and the meat that you
Yeah.
So even that flavor that comes through, I'd love to experience or learn how to cook a meal on the fire.
Cook an entire meal. So
an entire meal.
Because with Brian, I'm not an expert. I was like, like growing up, everyone has their portfolio that they just do in the house.
Yes.
So when I was young, around like 8, 9, 10.
Yes.
It was my portfolio to make sure that during the winter time there was a fireplace. Make sure that you leave.
Okay.
Now, if I had to do it every single day, like during the winter,
yes,
which is basically like 3 straight months, over the course of like how many years, you get exceptionally good at it.
Yes.
But then I was also like, oh, he's good with the fire. Well, I'm your bride.
What happened?
Brian, the meat. Sometimes I burn it, I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
Sometimes I burn it, but then I got better at it. So I need to brush up on my Brian because I've been slacking over the past couple of years.
Yes.
But I've never made an entire meal. It's always meat. And sometimes they'll garlic rolls. Garlic rolls.
Yes.
Put on Brian, also for the fish that you just also put on
yes.
Brian. But it's an entire meal.
Yeah.
It's just meat
and there's garlic rolls and fish.
Yes, I don't know what else you can actually make on a bride.
Yes.
You can actually make the vegetables on the bride, but
yes.
that comes as part of the kebab that you just put there and you just make sure that you fry it.
Yes. Yeah. There's actually quite a lot you can make in the fire. There's actually a couple of pages I follow now where I think it's like cook on the fire or flame what, and I watch and they make proper meals. Mm-hmm. As you said, it comes with experience as well. We all grew up differently as well.
Yeah, so so do you know how to braai?
Yes. I know how to braai, your meats.
Where's my lamb stew? You.
It was a butter chicken butter chicken curry. You got it up like that day.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. You
know the guy on TikTok does this.
Yes. Yeah, that's me right now.
If you only did interviews, I'd try and get him on.
Yes.
Yeah. So okay, well, like you posted that, I was like, oh, I'm just looking forward to having some of this. Good deal. That's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Take that. You good there?
Yes.
Okay, good. What's that playing my piano in the background?
That's fine.
No, okay, cool. So you wait till you finish whatever. Okay, that's no near. So what is your ultimate meal in terms of a challenge to make?
Yeah.
Remember this one. What's the hardest meal that you've ever had to make?
That's what I'm thinking about.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking about.
Prawns.
No. The hardest, I'm literally going through what I've made in my head. Because most of the time I stick to what I know. Because even when I try something new, I don't see it as difficult. It turns out the way it turns out, if it turns out. And sometimes I don't even know what it's meant to taste like.
Yeah.
So it's just,
that's quite interesting, because you know how it's supposed to look like, but no one ever tells you how it's supposed to taste like.
Yes.
Taste buds are unique to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if I try something new and then I'll go have it at a restaurant, it won't really taste the same. But then I'll try it again and again. But at the end of the day, Sandra Sam is fine, there's someone else. But the hardest thing to make, no, I can't think of something now. Oh, you know what I found difficult?
What?
Because with what the cooking is now, it actually started as baking. It was meant to be baking cakes, wedding cakes eventually. Yeah. Icing. That icing a cake. Icing cupcakes. And it was to a point where I'd use the same ingredients, I'd use the same measurements, but the icing wouldn't be consistent as the last time. Yeah. I don't like that. I said, you know what? Let's cook rather. Yeah. I gave up immediately.
Gave up the cooking immediately.
With the baking, yeah, I was done. It looks easy. It requires a school for me. It requires me to go to a baking school and learn and say this is what happened. Yeah. So for me, it was the icing, getting it right, baking.
I would never bake a day in my life.
What? Okay, like a banana loaf. Everyone can bake a banana loaf.
Who's everyone? Not me.
Okay.
I've never baked a banana loaf. I've never made. I'm a scone. I'm a scone. I've never made a scone. They've always been done in the house, like my mom.
Fairy cakes.
Huh?
A fairy cake.
Oh, fairy cake.
Like fairy cupcakes, like normal vanilla cupcakes. We call them fairy cakes. No. Fairy cupcakes. Okay.
Never. Nothing.
Okay.
Next.
All right.
Don't.
Okay.
Don't. It's not.
Well, that's also okay.
No, because I've never tried it. I just don't want to. It's not. I mean, anyone can do anything. I just don't want to. You know. I mean, when I don't want to do something, I don't want to do something. It's like you know what I mean. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. Like it's just when I don't want to do something, I don't want to do something. It's tickets. It's like that's the thing.
At least I don't want to cook. Huh? Look at me now.
Now you want to cook.
I didn't want to cook. Look at me
now. Yeah, so for me, that's what I'm afraid of. That's what I'm afraid of. I just move more to the center of speaking. Yeah.
What are you afraid of?
I'm afraid of being too addicted to cooking now.
You won't be addicted to cooking.
No, that's not my personality. My personality.
So you got an addictive personality.
Yes, I do have addictive personality. Yes. That's why I stay away from certain things and I stay away from certain people.
Okay.
I stay away from certain things because I mean. Let's take PlayStation for example.
Yes.
When I'm really into that game, I don't want to stop it. It can actually become unhealthy, so I check myself. When I'm really into something, for an extended period of time. So then now, with food, now I want to be cooking all the time. What does that mean? I'm buying groceries all the time. What am I doing? I'm spending money all the time.
And you're just cooking for no reason.
Yeah, exactly. It's cooking for no reason. I don't know if you know of the show called South Park, no?
I've never watched it.
You've never watched it?
No.
Come on, it's like the best show ever. It's like the best show. So when there's a character called Randy, so like when he was super bored, all he would do is watch these cooking shows, Gordon Ramsay, Jamie Oliver, and all he'd do is just try and copy all the things that they made. And then that's all that he was involved in. Just look at how this tastes and how it just melts off the bone and whatnot. It's a good thing. I'm just afraid that I'll just get addicted to it.
It's a costly addiction.
It's a costly addiction, yes. And currently I've got no costly addictions. No, but FIFA is very cost effective for me. FIFA and writing is very cost effective for me. It doesn't cost me a lot. Anyway. Okay. Yeah, so that's what I'm afraid of getting into. But I'll do it. It's part of my bucket list,
I think it should be.
Yeah, I know it is. It is. Like last year, I was like getting play musical instruments, so I'm like,
really? What do you play?
I'm gonna get to that. I don't play a musical instrument yet, so then I was like, you know what? I've been progressing on the guitar. Let me learn how to DJ.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. So like these guys can pay for nothing. No, I'm joking. You just play one track into another track.
Into another one.
You
Now we're
play
doing
this
dancing.
and everyone is dancing. Finished. That's the thing. And true to form, when I started, that's what I wanted to do. Like, so like,
Okay.
just like sort of take my mind off it.
Mm.
But with cooking, and also there's the weight element of
Weight
it.
elements. I was actually about to hit on that part as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then now I'm eating all the time, and if I start slacking in the gym, well, it's actually quite good for you. I eat a lot and gym a lot if you want to get size and all that.
But you'll spend less time in the gym, more time in the kitchen.
Yeah, I see. That's another thing.
Oh,
Yeah, I see. So you see, like that's the thing. So I like, but I'll do it. I'll do it. See how it goes. And I'll let you know. I'll go for those short cooking classes and then.
Yeah. I'll just try like one out, and then once in a while. Actually, I wonder if they still have them. I hope they still have them. I was actually thinking about them probably 2 weeks ago with a friend, because I was like, let's go back to that. It's fun, and you take the recipe home, and you got it, and you can try to get it home.
Yeah.
So that's how you can spice up your kitchen.
Yeah. So like I was also trying to think, because at one point I love eating pilchards a lot. So I was like thinking, how do I like spice up eating pilchards? Because you eat them like constantly, and bull bread constantly, and chicken constantly, like trying to Nkosi when I eat. So like I was trying to, how do I just make things?
But I think those are the things that I've actually seen them do something creative on Instagram because of the campaigns that have been going on around that brand.
Yeah.
And it's quite interesting what people came up with. I've never looked at the brand and said, they need to be creative with it, because I literally like it as it is.
What?
No, I just cooked.
I just had a image of just like taking this can apart, opening it like this, and
then just like cooked, but as simple as it's like it's like a bojisi. I've never felt like bojisi. What can I do with it? Yeah, the others random salads, but a bojisi, it's for us. We put salt and. It's literally that's it.
Yeah.
There's just some things, palate. But try. When people just like zhuzh it up, it's just one of those things. So for me, those brands are just one of those brands I've never thought of.
Spicy.
Yeah. But I've seen many people make lasagna. I saw an influencer or a cook that did lasagna. They mixed it with pasta, and they made the whole cheese. Actually, it looked quite good. What else have I seen with it? That wasn't one thing that I saw. But I'm sure there's, ufishi that is in a tomato base. So you can, what else can you make with it? Pasta. You can make a cottage pie. Leave the mince and rather use that. I can blend. I can't say. I can't even think. We probably can, but I just.
Brand mince before.
And mince.
Bull brand mince.
Okay.
It was the mince,
okay. There we go. So treat it like how we treat mince. What can you do with mince? It's the same thing though, because I'm thinking about mince. I've had the cottage pie. I've had the, maybe you can stuff it in, make little pastry puffs or.
I just like, pastry. Pastry. No, listen. The weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life is square pub. Like square pub. I was like, this is like, because we see Pumapodweni and that spoon. It's nice, that's all shit. But when I went to university, they put it in like a rectangular tin, and then I'm like, what is this?
But some of them they put like their tomato, they put cheese, and they make it into this like it's pap lasagna. They put it in the oven, and then they.
What is that? I remember there was a phase we were eating flavored pap.
Flavored pap.
Flavored pap,
What's
like
flavored?
cheese flavored pap and.
What is it?
I can't remember which brand it was. It was way back. I remember a while ago. I can't remember what it was.
No, No.
But I was like, this is one of them with that cheese. I'm like, oh, that's good flavor, but I enjoyed that.
Oh, is it? Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it.
Oh, at least Tinakaya, we just vibe up. The most flavor we would put
White
is...
star.
No, in Durban actually we have...
Elisa.
Is
Ace.
it Inyala?
Really?
Inyala.
Yes.
I'm sure I'll have to Google it.
Yeah.
And they don't have it yet.
Yeah, they don't have it.
Yeah.
They
It's
don't
like
have
at
it.
Carolina. I don't know.
It's
It's in KZN.
it's a debit.
Yeah, it's a debit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's some things that they have in KZN that don't have in Joburg. So the most we used to do in club, we would put butter and a arrowroot and just change the color from white to
Oh, okay.
yellowishy.
Yeah.
And then, but otherwise, let's keep it simple, hey? Oh, but the one thing my aunt did, my late aunt did, is she chopped onions and she chopped green pepper and she... I was like, oh, this is very huge. And it was actually quite nice.
She chopped onions and
But that's the thing about food. Literally, it's a canvas.
yeah,
It's a canvas with paint, touch of pendewako, there's all ingredients. No one can say, okay, and it's really bad.
You're limited by your imagination.
Yeah, that's what I like about it, and that allows you to be creative. So when you go to your canvas and when you're panda, I mean, I go to the kitchen and I make a meal.
Yeah, have you ever traveled outside the country?
I went to Bali in 2001.
I said, have you traveled outside the country? Everyone goes to Bali, bro. Come on.
Oh, and Swaziland, Swati.
Let me be clear. Have you traveled outside the country, overseas? No, but I was Bali.
I appreciated South African water. We got great water, y'all.
What?
Like, shout out to our water.
Shout out to our water. I mean, that's... Shout out to the water, not the electricity, right?
Bali was amazing for me.
What you remember when already?
I went there with friends.
You don't go to Bali with just friends. You just go with a significant other.
No, not Bali. Like it's a significant other. I want to. Oh, Maldives.
Oh.
Bali is a friendship. Like it's nice. Also, I think Bali is a solo thing. Is there's a connection of a spiritual side that made me enjoy it even more. But food wise, but that's the thing with Bali. Like I can't say there was a meal. I'm just like what do you call Bali people?
Yeah, what about them?
Bali. What was I need to South African. Please don't judge me.
I don't even know.
But I can't say there was a meal of theirs that I experienced. I think there was one or two because it's just like what noodles and the egg. Because they have a lot of. I think I just played it too safe. For my first time out the country, I have a sensitive stomach, so I had the burger, I had the pasta, I had I know. But there was that one meal where we went to a waterfall and we first had lunch before we went down, and I had some noodle and had this is our signature dish. It was actually really nice.
Like noodles.
I don't know, noodles. Like it had Khanya Zulu. It had, I'm sure, my spice it was
rice.
Yeah,
fried rice. That's not fried rice.
I can't remember what it was. But it was really nice. And I if ever I go to when I go to
the Maldives.
When I travel, never mind the Maldives, I would love to experience more the
cuisine.
The cuisine that's there. I think I just played it too safe. I was just like, okay, so not because there's anything wrong with the food, but my stomach was
for a foodie. How do you have a sensitive stomach, but you're a foodie?
It was my first time stepping out. At least and also I was scared. It was okay if I get sick now. What happens? Whereas I'm just like no. I don't taste anything. My doctor's around the corner. He got me.
Over there.
Over there. I'm not saying they didn't have doctors, but I just like it's quite away from home. But I'd actually rather taste their cuisine and be involved in that and spend more time with the people.
So I remember going to Singapore 2018. and I was like, I'm not going to be McDonald's in anything. I'm not going to be Steers anything. I'm going to be a Singaporean, if that's the right term.
Yes.
Don't fetch me if I got it wrong. Their signature dish, I'm not too sure if I can remember it's called fried rice or rice bowl. So it's basically rice.
Yes.
It's rice, and they've got eggs, and then you'll either have like pork and beef and a mixed vegetable with it. Legit, that is their dish. That's a Singapore dish. And also in Singapore, but like 4 ethnicities are there: the Chinese, the Indians, Malaysians. Malaysians, and there's another group. So then you've got your Chinatown there, and you've got your Indian town there, and the Malaysian town there. Yeah, and there's some like
and those are quite nice cuisines, because Indian cuisine is amazing. The Chinese, based on the Chinese meal that we've had here. Yes, the curries. Yes. You know, so every time I'm just like, I'm making curry. We've got an Indian staying just below us, and when she cooks curry, like the aroma just travels.
Yeah.
So when I'm cooking my curry, it's like, I'm just doing what I know, man.
What spices? I actually just go, I'm not gonna do. So how do you make that curry? How do you make the curry? You know, here's 200 rand, teach me how do you make
that's
the curry.
crazy, because I was saying my sister the same thing. Last weekend, I just like, go, you smell it. I think I'm gonna go downstairs.
No, I think you should do it. I just think you should do it. And they're very open to teaching how to go and cook, because in Benoni, Lakefield Benoni, not any other part of Benoni. Like, because when I say I'm from Benoni, people think it's like I come from a hood area. That's not true. It's the south of the area.
There you'll know.
That's just there you know, so you don't think I'm something that I'm not. So it's a large Indian community that's there, and some of them I went to school with them. So then, like after school, I just go and chat with them, and then they'll be making these nice curries, and I'm like, yeah. So how do you make it? The mom gave us the entire masterclass. I forgot what was being done. What I used, I was gonna eat. It's like, oh, so put that in there, put that in there, put that in there.
Because it's lengthy, hey?
No,
it's
a ritual.
It's
it's a ritual.
Yes.
I'm saying it's
no, because it's quite lengthy. When they give you the list of what you need to put in there, and it's like, then you wait for this, and you select that, and then you just,
Yeah.
You spend 4 hours making a curry. Sorry, so I just did the you Singapore.
Yeah, it's still in Singapore, and then I was like, I'm gonna walk throughout. Because Singapore is like, it's a city state. It's not that big, right?
Okay.
So then I'm walking through the different towns, and I'm seeing what they're selling there. You know, it's nothing. That's no different from like Joburg CBD. Like we've got all these stores around there.
Yes.
I go and I see stuff I didn't believe. I said, why am I seeing toad? We can go and eat toad legs, snail legs, all these weird cuisines. I'm like, I felt like trying it.
Okay.
I felt like
You've never had a snail before?
Have I ever had a snail? I'm sure I did. I did, but it was by mistake. So what happened was we went to one of our friends, I think the Greek, right? Not the still Greek, something that changed. The Greek, right?
Okay.
And then they're like making a special dish for us. So I was like, I didn't know what was there. It's in not be free just to eat. And like, ate. It's like, oh, this is so delicious. I was like, it was snails. Okay, great. And then also I finished like sheep's brains. That's some good meat. It tastes good.
I'm glad you told me afterwards though.
Afterwards, but yeah. I mean, like I know one friend of mine told me the story where he was fed, I think it was like goat testicles.
Oh wow.
Yeah, as a delicacy. That's the term, a good delicacy. I'm like,
a delicacy.
Yes, a delicacy. So I'm like, I'm not too much into delicacies anymore. my delicacy, what is called?
Anything outside of that, it's not fine.
Yeah, it's not fine. Please don't feed me goat testicles, please. Let's
But did you taste it?
No, I didn't. No.
Oh, they told you before.
I'm just referring
Oh.
to the brain. It was like, I'm not, no, thank you. No, thank you.
Okay.
I'm fine with my masculinity as it is. So I'm seeing all these interesting delicacies, but I feel like trying them. But to your point, when you're body, you're like, if I get sick here, you didn't here. So I was like, no. So I was going to play it safe there, but I did try the local foods.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I remember we went to Germany this one time, and we went on a school tour, and there was this group of girls that we were from the same school. When we were in Germany, have German food. Or in Amsterdam, eat food from the Netherlands. I will say Amsterdam. No. They went McDonald's thing and Burger King. I'm like, but like in the country, why don't you just eat
Their food?
there?
Yeah.
I don't get it. I definitely don't get it. So you've only been to Bali, no?
Yeah, I've only been to Bali.
We might do our football's jail.
No, not yet. But I'd love to go to Croatia.
Croatia.
Yeah.
That's in Europe, right? That's the eastern bloc of Europe, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't thought of anything else. But Asian food is growing.
Yeah, it is.
Just in terms of even looking on Instagram, a lot more people, even in South Africa, are making a lot of Asian food.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they got good food.
Like the noodles.
Yeah, and the noodles. But even like the fried rice, people are getting into that. The salmon and it's quite nice.
Yeah. So one part of you that I didn't know, getting from your shadow, I was like, yeah, this is how we had the conversation. It ended up getting into you guys dressing us for the weddings.
Yes.
So here's what happened. One of the photos was with my brother. He wasn't able to be at the celebrations. He was like, please phone someone who can tell you that you need to do this the proper way.
Yes.
Yeah, because nowadays from Tatama shortcuts and
Yes.
whatnot, and I was like, it's in memory of my dad and ancestors. I want to do this the best way possible.
Yes.
It's a lot of work to do it like to your guys' standards, but because it's like, who do you know? So I'm like, okay, so I'm looking through your stories and like you post Swati traditional events and attire. So that's when I got in contact with your artist. So who do you know who knows how to do this thing? It's like, oh, my sister, this is all she does. I'm like, that's all she does. I have a conversation with the sister. She tells me about things I didn't even know about.
Yeah.
Oh, Nkosi from the little house. I mean, yes, listen to that, yes.
Yeah.
Y'all better recognize.
Yeah.
So if the king dies there, they'll fetch me.
No. I don't think it doesn't. I don't think it doesn't work that way.
Does it not work that way?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's just in the blood.
It's just in the blood.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, there goes that retirement.
Yeah.
And then also, I saw a meme, funniest thing. By the way, I'm Swati, she's Swati. Yeah, that's why we're talking about. So, I saw a meme.
Yeah.
Was it a meme or was it a news report? I'm not sure.
Okay.
It says that King Swati, the third, he's the third, right? He's the third,
Yes.
okay. He says that if you are a Swati national, male, you must have not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 wives or go to jail. Was that a true report or was that a?
And guys,
You don't know.
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
You find out now. I just saw also on
Is it?
on the social medias.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I try to pitch it to my person. I'm like, it's my culture.
Yeah. Do you want more than one wife?
Hell nah. No.
Okay, just checking.
I don't think that works, eh?
Yeah.
I'm just talking about like
Just in general.
For me, I don't think it works because that defeats the purpose of getting married, right?
Yeah.
For me, the purpose of getting married is to like grow with one person. Now if your focus is split across 4 or 5, now it becomes an economic arrangement. But that's just me.
But I guess it's also just like me that I'd like to not. I'd love to just marry one person,
Just one
or
person.
for him to just marry me.
Just you.
Yeah,
Why not?
preferably.
Why are you being selfish?
I'm not being selfish. Just let me know that that's your arrangement, and I'll let you be. Go have your 400 wives.
These modern women. My goodness.
No, seriously, I don't know. I don't know. It's not something I grew up in. And it's not something I'm willing to explore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things I want to do is get more like 10 polygamists on the show. Like speak to more than one polygamist, because I want to get their perspective. So my own perspective is monogamous.
Okay.
Because I haven't spoken to a polygamist, so I want to understand.
To understand.
I want to understand, because right now my opinion right now is formed. That's why I do these podcasts, because my opinion is formed on what I know now.
Yes.
And so the only thing I can say, I'm saying it doesn't work based on my experience, and based on what I've read, and based on what I've seen, and opinions of other monogamous.
Yeah.
Those people who are polygamous, that seems like it's working for them. I want to what's the secret sauce?
Yeah. I wanted to understand, because some of them it's generational, but some of them they started on their own. It's just like, okay, what is the idea around it? You know, it's you probably get a lot of different answers.
Like, because I'll tell people I'm starting, like, oh, you remember more than one wife? I'm like, that? How? Since when? Because that's what they family references.
Yes.
I don't know from where, but I'm like, that's just not how it is. I mean, like, more than one is like, I'm also thinking, you know, Snobo.
But that's true. Ngeke was ushada isithembu namanje. No, guys. We are lapho.
Exactly. No, so very. It's also like chilling. You know that Tuso. You know that that Tuso. Oh no, he's a radio personality. He basically calls people out on spending money where they shouldn't be spending money. So this funny clip where it's like saying, you like to do things without any money. You don't earn the money that you should be earning, but you are living a lifestyle of other people who have money.
Plenty of people doing that.
Plenty of people. I've been guilty too. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
What? But I remember the first book. Like, this is the first book of Inspired Success. I sold 500 copies in the space of like 3 months, and because I'm self-published, guess what? That money comes straight to me. Now all of a sudden I've got all this money. I'm like, then a couple of months later, it wasn't there anymore. And then I was asked, how much did you make? I told me the amount. I'm like, dang, that's good. So where is it? I'm like, I spent all of it.
Okay.
I spent all of it. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So I've been there. It's a very easy trap to fall into.
Yes.
So I don't think I can necessarily judge a person who lives above their means, because if truth be told, a large percentage of people around the world do so.
Yeah, that's true.
There are extremes. You know, those people who party every single weekend, but you know who to end up with. There's no way you can afford this. So he's calling people out on that.
Do you think that also has to do with an addictive personality?
It can be an addictive personality, or it can be a sense of you not knowing who you are, so that you can try and buy friends.
Know who you are. I like that.
Or buying companionship,
That's a nice one. Actually, I love the fact that you touched on that.
I'll just give myself a that.
Give yourself a that. You touched on that, and especially since the topic we're getting into, it's probably the people don't understand in terms of knowing who you are. That's where your wealth is at.
Yeah, 100%. That's where your wealth is at. I mean, for a long time, also personally, like also myself here, I have a sense of like, this is what I want to do, this is where I'm going. But sometimes we have like, what am I actually doing here? Like, 1 minute you're in love with your job, next thing you're not in love with your job anymore. And then one thing you love writing, and I'm just speaking about myself.
Yes.
Love writing, next thing you know, they're touchable. 1 minute you feel that this is what you're called to do, next thing you're like, it isn't really what I'm called to do. And like, people trying to figure out who they are. You'll be shocked at I know sometimes we have conversation, we feel like, hey, I'm not too sure where things are going or why am I here. But get to see, and you'll be very shocked that how many people who are quote unquote successful made it. They've got it figured out. They do not know what they are doing.
Yeah.
This entire thing called Imposter Syndrome.
Yes, I learned that word 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
But only because someone else said it.
Like Imposter Syndrome wasn't the word of the day in Toastmasters.
No. A friend of mine actually said to me, Khanya, you got so much potential, but I really think you got Imposter Syndrome. How? I mean, with Google.
Keep going, yeah.
Google, like, what is that?
Yeah.
And because that's nothing. Oh, yeah. I just think he planted a seed. And I started thinking, yeah, then it started becoming my excuse.
You've got Imposter Syndrome.
I've got Imposter Syndrome.
You know what? Yeah, like I was doing some coaching with some of the colleagues at work. I give them free one-on-one coaching. Pretty much just what we used to do. I have 15,000 an hour,
Oh, wow.
but they can't pay it. So I'm like, I'll do it proper. That's not right, 15,000 an hour. So sort your life out. Not sort your life out. Only you can sort your life out.
True.
And it was a similar thing. I said to them, you're operating beneath your potential, you're operating beneath where you can be. And I said, why is it like that? I said, you've probably got imposter syndrome, because what that means is that you're in a space, you're in a setting where you feel like you don't belong there. For example, like writing this book, I felt like I felt like a fraud. I felt like really like a fraud. Now, what does this guy at 22 years old know about success? I'm writing about success. Like, what have you actually done?
What have you succeeded in?
The problem there is that imposter syndrome comes from when you are idolizing another person and another person's life, another person's lifestyle. For example, if you are a musician, you look at Beyonce and like, how I can't sing, I can't do that.
Okay.
But you're idolizing her, and what you're not seeing is where she's failing as well. Because no one posts their failures on Instagram or YouTube, or some do, but like hardly ever. And then what happens is that you think that you can't do what they are doing because of
they're doing it already, firstly.
They're doing it already.
And they're doing it better. And even if you start now, you feel like, I'm never going to reach that.
Yeah, exactly. You feel like you're never going to reach that. But that's not a very healthy way to look at it. One way for dealing with imposter syndrome is, number one, documenting every way that you've already succeeded. Because if you're serious about it, if you are like honest to yourself, like you were like, being honest with yourself, you've done a lot of great things, and people don't take stock of the great things that they've done. Once you take stock of the great things that you've done, then life becomes a little easier. You're like, oh, I can actually do this. I've done this before. I can do this again. And then also, I have the belief that you can not. There's no one who's better than you.
Yeah.
There's someone who's learned something that you haven't learned. All you need to do is go and learn what they've learned, and then you can do what they did. But so that's why how you can overcome imposter syndrome, and also this whole thing of feeling that you don't belong, you don't have a sense of self-worth. Somebody probably tell you that you're not worthy, or you yourself are telling yourself that you're not worthy. So you just need to flip it and tell yourself, I've already achieved all these things, so I'm good enough. And if not, there isn't a skill I couldn't learn, there isn't a class I couldn't take, there isn't a mentor that I couldn't get. That's how you come out with imposter syndrome, get over imposter syndrome, and also just do things, just do things. That's how you can get over it. But it's a real thing. It's a real thing. Yeah.
It is a real thing. And when I say, with my experience, is that I don't think there was a time until recently, probably past 2-3 years, where I've doubted myself. Let's take the cooking thing.
Yeah.
Not the cooking thing, the cooking journey
culinary experience
that I went through.
Yeah.
I started this thing where I was unemployed. I was unemployed, and people was posting their social life. I mean, my social life. What I do right now, I don't have money for a social life. I'm unemployed. But I my sister needs to eat when she gets home, and I know she likes trying different things. So now let me try different things. And so I'd start cooking, and then that's what I would share. I remember the first omelette I posted, oh my word, like it was horrid. But I earned that. I'm like, guys, I made an omelette for the first time. Because I was always scared to make an omelette. It's just like, it just does not flip. That thing just won't flip. Or it just sticks. And I wasn't ashamed of it. So I'm just like, hey guys, this is what I posted.
Yeah.
And I owned everything I did. Mom taught me when I was 12 how to make steamed bread. But sometimes, even today, I would double check, but it wouldn't rise. And I used to share that part about myself, and I put it in my story. I'm like, hey guys, I guess it's rice tonight. It won't out, you know?
Yeah,
until I was never influenced by peer pressure. Even growing up, it's just one thing. My mother's like, if you don't have it, you don't have it. You know. So when this social media and my cooking started getting bigger than I ever anticipated it to be, then there was all of a sudden a pressure. There was all of a sudden, oh, does it look good? All of a sudden, it's just like, it's not even about the cooking and the mistakes anymore. It's about the perfect picture. It's about the, you know. And then I had that friend who said, oh, friend, and then I started doubting my potential, because now I wasn't living within my potential, because that's what I was doing. I was living out my potential because I was trying things out with no fear. Now there was the gap started suddenly existed between the potential and living below the potential. You know what I'm saying? And then the friend that, no, intentionally you didn't do it, but that's what I interpreted when I reflect back. Actually, that's when I realized I have this imposter syndrome that I didn't even know about before. It's when it was planted in my, because another thing, guys, watch your mind, watch what you feed yourself. That was planted in me. I'm like, then it became my excuse, and then eventually I started disliking cooking, because it was now more about what will people think than
the actual work,
about the actual work I started doing. And yeah, so now it's I don't know what I'm doing with it. It's become now, I forgot why I started. I forgot why I started, and then I start comparing who to how. If I continue, I'd be so far. So now there's regrets, now there's self-doubt, there's like now I'm not worthy. What is she thinking? But like people that are started with her are now, you know, oh master chef, oh PA. So even when I try to start again, it's that anxiety. Now it's just like, oh my word, what am I doing? Life.
Life, you can remember this. Sometimes
you know?
You
know what I'm saying?
So a lot of people have been through that imposter syndrome. I'm sure you've heard of this person. I think she won a Nobel Prize. She was revered. When she died of a heart attack, the world cried. Mother Teresa.
Okay.
They dug up her journals, and then she used to write about this thing of saying, yo, I've got imposter syndrome, I don't know what I'm doing.
She wrote about it.
Yeah, in her journal, she's like, yo, I'm doing all these things, but I'm not sure if it's making an impact, if I can do it. Martin Luther King, one of my favorite orators, he went through the same thing. It was like, after he won a Nobel Prize, after he'd been given all these riveting speeches, even he said, I'm not sure if the work I'm doing for civil rights is the right thing. A lot of people have been suffering from imposter syndrome, and I think it is inevitable that you will, even after you've been quote unquote successful in what you're doing. So it's a very normal thing. It shouldn't be normal, but it's a normal thing given the society that we live in. But it's how you overcome that imposter syndrome. That's how you do it. I mean, back in 2015, it was like 7 years ago, I was in Las Vegas, and I spoke to this guy. I was at a bar in the hotel.
Okay.
There's a hotel and a hotel at a bar area.
Yes.
Like it's Las Vegas. They're busy playing dice and like gambling, all that stuff.
Yes.
So I've been to Las Vegas. I've been to America. I've been to Las Vegas.
Okay.
Two different things. It's like someone saying, "I was in Satan City." You know, you're in Satan City, not South Africa. Difference.
Okay.
So he told me, and quite a number of other people there, so I went to go and see all these people. That's why the benefit of traveling. Just walk around places where you know they're doing things at a high level. See how you feel about yourself,
Okay.
so that you can know if other people are doing it, so you can also do it. And he told me he made $10 million a year.
$10 million
$10
a year.
Joe. This is after the IRS did this thing. $10 million. That's good. Now he can afford petrol in the country. And then he told me, I'm ready to commit suicide. I'm like, yeah. With all this money, I would have sworn you're not ready to commit suicide. $10 million. I felt like joking and saying, don't you want to leave me your money? And I asked him why. And he said, he was in the media industry there. And he said, I've worked so hard to be in the media industry, but I'm not too sure it's what I actually wanted to do. So I don't feel like I'm worthy to be alive. I'm like, that is tough. That's very tough.
Very deep.
So that's very deep. So if you don't have $10 million, you have imposter syndrome, and someone has $10 million and has imposter syndrome, just know that it's prevalent at every level. Every level. Everyone suffers with it.
That was so deep. You'd think that he'd be okay, but also if he feels that way, it only means now it's now a question of purpose.
Yeah.
Because you can be whatever it is, like CEO of a top, but if it's not your purpose and you've got other passions and dreams and actual aspirations for yourself and for your life and a journey you would have felt more fulfilled, it is a situation that I'm not worthy. How did I lead? For him, he maybe feels like he lived such a fake life.
A fake life, yeah.
This is not my life that I lived, so wow.
Yeah, so that's the thing, and then also, I think your purpose changes and evolves as you go along. I think it changes.
When you say, yes, I understand the evolving part. So when you say evolve, do you think like, is it a drastic change, or should it like flow? I don't know, like it's just because sometimes I feel myself so lost in my life because I'm just like, okay, maybe another thing, the problem with me is what I realized is that I'm good at a lot of things and I don't believe that you can focus on a lot of things, so you find yourself you know what I'm saying? And then you end up feeling so unfulfilled because it's like, what have I done?
What have I accomplished? Yeah, jack of all trades and master of all of them, right? So.
Oh man. Well, you told me, didn't you? Someone told me, he's like, well, that's not the whole quote.
I don't know, it wasn't me. It sounds like something I would say.
No, apparently it's not the whole quote. I don't know what the whole quote is.
Let me just look it up here.
So I mean that's another issue when it says it's like, oh, I'm evolving. Sometimes I feel like, okay, what am I evolving into? Because I feel like I haven't even fulfilled what I was last busy with.
I will share a perspective of it because I've gone through the same thing.
Okay.
The full phrase is, a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one.
You see? Have a contradiction enough?
It's a very big contradiction. So here's the thing. So for me, because I have a lot of interest, because one, I've got a data personality, two, I can get bored very, very easily.
Easily, right?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And a friend of mine said, are you sure you're going to get married? I'm like, yeah. So, right, it's a commitment. If I get bored, then I have to make it exciting. Maybe that's why. Maybe I can't wait to get pregnant on the show. So I'm like, is it the effect of being bored? I don't know. I don't know. So, because it seems like a lot of things. Because I write a book, do podcasts, and then.
But you see the link. There's a link there.
Yeah. So there's a link there, and also like taking up music, as well as leadership and I can just speak in communication leadership. And then a friend of mine said, like, yo, you do all these such a lot of things. When you even be like really successful in like just one thing? I went back and I thought about my life, as you do when a friend of yours says that.
They planted a seed.
Then I thought, then one of my mentors, Muslim JJ.
Jigga.
Yeah, I'm JJ, Muslim JJ. Yeah, this TV checks.
Oh, jigga.
Yeah, I'm JJ, yeah. I'm Jamie, yeah, DJ Jigs. My dad, one of his wishes that he wrote for me is for me to be a better speaker than TJ. So I'm like,
wow. Well, that's amazing though.
Now he passed away, so now I have to do it. Yo, Jakes, so Jakes, how did you do it, man? Jake! Sure. Right, yeah, so yeah. So one of the things is that he faced a similar question.
Yeah.
I'm like, you preaching, you are teaching, you are writing, you are doing plays,
producing,
producing, you do all these things. It's like, no, that's for me. That's one thing. He says it's one thing. I'm like, one thing. It's like, yeah, one thing. Yeah, the one thing I do is communication.
Okay.
And all these things are different forms of communication. I was like, that is a very good way to put it, because think about it. If I say I'm a good communicator,
yes.
not always, it's not always my personal life, sometimes I don't communicate.
Yeah.
You know, the thing about the mishap about communication, the bad thing about it is when you think it's happened. You know, when you tell yourself in your head, that must I say this? Like, no, you do this. See, it's not here.
Yes.
So in terms of communication, we communicate doing a podcast, we're doing a YouTube video, writing a book, doing speeches. I don't know how I'm gonna beat Jagger, but we'll see. All of these things are linked towards communication.
Yes.
Now the folly that some people make is that they feel like and also like training, also like going to the gym, and then also like going playing FIFA, and then I've for one link that I found, it starts working for me, is that if I have a lot of experiences and new experiences, I've got content, I've got something to talk about, and something to share, and something to explore.
Yes.
Like on the podcast, I've had foodies, I've had gym junkies.
Yes.
I've had
authors,
people married, people who get divorced, people who serve in church, people who haven't been in church. I want to get an atheist on the show. Honestly, so like have the debate so that I can actually learn and have these experiences. So for me, the longest time, maybe this can help you as well, is sort of finding that link, because what's the link between speaking and DJing? Like what's the link? The link there is an experience to talk about.
Okay.
And it's also a new skill that you can learn, right? So it took me a very long time. I'm 30 years old now. It took me a very long time to use it, but I can find the link. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
but even as you said, through your experiences, even if you like painting, you would still be able to use that painting experience to communicate to someone about whatever it is, whether it's a life experience or there's things that's what I realized.
I used to do art actually.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe you should add that in as well when you have time. But even when you take a walk, like I listen to Deepak Chopra.
Yeah, personally, if you married Oprah would be Oprah Chopra.
Oh wow, I didn't think of that. And he talks about even a simple walk for him is content to heal the next person. Yeah. It's communication, it's what you've experienced, it's because also I believe that everything has life in it. Yeah. So anything that communicates to you, you can translate it into something that will be a message for someone else.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? So even when we try to link things, maybe we shouldn't try to link things too much, but we should see what we're good at already. What you're good at is already linked to your purpose. Exactly. Yeah, well?
And then sometimes, like everyone is different, everyone's on a different journey. Some people find, let me not say find, well, once they've started searching for it, it's revealed to them at a younger age than somebody else. But you shouldn't look at that and say that, oh my gosh, that person's much better than me, you know? Because think about it this way, I'm a big tennis fan, massive tennis fan. I used to play tennis, I was quite.
I can see you. Okay.
I I stopped in matric. I stopped at the last year of matric. I was at Eastern's level, like provincial level, and so I stopped. It's because I wasn't allowed to play rugby. So my mom was like, "They're gonna break you." I'm also deaf in my left ear. Now if they hurt you in the other ear, now you're deaf. So I was like, "Okay, fine. I'll play a gentleman's sport." You see how I get into trouble? You know, like you go to Layfield Balloon and play tennis. Gentleman's sport. And then one of the greatest tennis players, his name is Roger Federer. He's not the greatest, he's the third greatest in my opinion, but he didn't start playing tennis until he was in his teen years.
He didn't start until his teen years.
His teen years,
yes.
He didn't start. So then, if you know anything about tennis, to reach that level,
yes.
you need to start 3, 4, latest 5 for you to really get to the point where you're like Novak Djokovic, Rafael Nadal, Roger Federer type level.
Yes.
And also same thing with Andre Agassi. He's also an all-time great. He started later on. Back to Roger Federer. Roger Federer he tried football, he tried basketball, he tried all these other things, and then only when he got to tennis later on in his life, you can argue to say, okay, he knew he was going to play sports, but the point is that you try all these different things that you think that you're good at, and eventually, if you carry on the search, you will find a thing to say, okay, fine, now I found it. Now this is the thing.
Yes.
And if you're not in the thing, it can be the thing that leads to the thing.
Yes.
So that's the hope, because everyone is on a different journey.
Yes.
And you're not meant to. Some people, I believe, this is my belief. There's no paper on it. My belief is that you will find what you need to find at the time that you're supposed to find it.
Yes.
Because imagine if at a younger age you were 100% sure that you're going to be a pianist. You from 3 you start training, and next thing you're 21, it's like, Kanti, this is not it for me. Have you seen the movie called Soul?
No.
Oh, you should watch it.
Okay.
Oh, now you should watch it.
Is it on the netty?
Try to look for it on the netty. If it's not in the netty, just look for it online. Should be. It's somewhere online now. It was in theaters, so one of the things I like to do is go to the cinema by myself.
Yeah, I used to do that a lot. I loved
it. I love doing it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You know.
Hey now.
So I love going to the cinema by myself because I love visuals, I love art, that's why I love games and all these things, because I think I'm a more visionary than a details-oriented person. So when I'm in the cinema, I start to think of all these ideas and just slides up.
Yes.
And then I went to go.
You start actually like being in the movies.
Yes. I promise you, man, I'm going to be the stereo. I was like, yeah, stereo. No, John was in a lot of trouble. Don't worry, that man is a stereo. So then I watched the movie Soul. So the premise of it is that this Jamie Foxx's character, he is adamant that he is meant to be a jazz musician, to play on the piano, to be a top-notch pianist. However, his life took a turn because all he was doing was being a music teacher. He would teach people the trombone, the flute, the violin. He would teach them the piano as well. So then, when he gets his big break to go perform with a big pianist, he dies, right? Like he dies, not a violent death. It's like this is a Pixar movie, and then his soul goes to there's a place before you go to, they call it the great beyond, where you don't come back at all. So then that's where he gets linked up with this another person, because these souls are just linked with like a tag to say, this is what you're going to do, this is what you're going to do, this is what you're going to do. And then there's this one soul, and they give them numbers. This one was number 2, right? And then she was like, I don't want to do anything. She had all these mentors like Mozart and who's this Carl Jung and all these things. She said she didn't want to go to Earth because she just didn't want to go to so then so Jamie follows the character like, I'm gonna teach you how to find what your purpose is. And then he so gets
This is
trapped
within this realm.
in this realm.
Okay.
So then next thing they keep fighting, and then next thing he falls into a cat, and then this other soul falls into his body. So then this entire journey of finding his purpose and whatnot. So then when he finally gets his break to be this musician, he plays with all his passion, with his soul. And then after he got his big break, he was like, is this all there is? Is this all there is? So he goes back home, he carries on playing, and then he's like, oh my gosh, is this all there is? And then the other character that was like in his body before they switched, she was like experiencing all the finer details of life. She was experiencing the sun, the moon, the stars.
As a cat?
No. So they swapped.
They swapped. He was the cat, and she was
him.
She
was him. So she experienced life.
So who was playing the piano? Her as him?
No, at the end of the movie, they finally
switched back. Okay.
So when he finished playing, he was like, "Is this all there is?" But well, she was in his body.
Yes.
She was like experiencing a sweet, the leaf is falling, the sunshine, the sunrise, and then the crux of it, what I got out of that is that I think there's a lie that says that you were born just to do just this one thing. Yeah. I think it's a lie. I think you can do a lot of things, but then once you hone in on that thing, you can end up being so consumed by it that you forget about all the good things along the way. Because have you ever been so consumed by this one thing? Like, I just want to get this one thing.
Yeah.
There's one thing that I'm not going to be happy until I get it. Yeah, that thing. For me, it's being a world champion and speaking. It's gonna happen in my own time. But then there was like a period of 3-4 years of my life. I'd go to my mom, this is what I'm gonna do. Dad, this is what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm gonna do. And I was like unhappy because I was entering contests and then losing, entering contests and losing. And then I had to take a step back and like, why am I doing this? So then I had to take a step back and be like, okay, well, listen, maybe if this is my purpose in life, I don't want it to rob me from the small things that I can achieve every single day.
I can actually relate to what you're saying.
Yeah.
My thing is knowing there's more out there, but not doing anything.
Yeah.
I know I'm meant to be a speaker.
Yeah.
I know that it's, I know.
Cheeks.
Yeah, so we'll be a tag team. We'll be a tag team.
Yeah.
I know I'm meant to. I've got green fingers. I'm meant to be in that space.
Yeah.
I love cooking. I'm meant to be in that space.
Yeah.
But because I'm just like, okay, I'm so lost. Where do I start? I end up not doing anything, but I know exactly what I need to do. So I don't know what to call that.
That is being stuck. That's called being stuck. How dare you? So the benefit of you already being good at something, you know that you're good at something, and it is easier to work with someone who's knows that they're good at something. Most of the person who's just never tried to be good at one thing, who's never been really tried to be good at something. So one of the guys that I'm definitely going to meet, his name is Dr. Jordan Peterson. I mean, I don't know if I've heard of him. What? I'll send you a link. I'm not just
send me a link.
I'll send you a link. This generation, I'll just send you a link. Yeah, I'll send you a link. Yes.
He's a speaker.
No, he's a clinical psychologist, and he is known for being one of the most important thinkers in the Western world. Actually, one of his books here is called 12 Rules for Life. And he said, one of the things that he said will be good for, especially addressing men, but it also applies to women, because men identify, if men don't have like a vocation, like work to do, their identity is more tied into work than females are, generally speaking.
Okay.
Because if I wasn't working, you know what society does to a guy who doesn't work? That's it, whereas in our society seems to be more lenient on females who don't work, because it will be like, okay, you can still be like a mother, a housewife, you can still do that. But if a man doesn't work at all, one of the things that I found, I used to think that was sexist, but this is like one of the things that I've observed
Because even our fathers, even after they retired, they all of a sudden feel useless. That's no way. Like there's life after retirement.
Yeah, like my dad, when he was retired, he was like, "Yes, I need to do something. I have to work and I have to live." But that's why you say that guys, like, just pick one thing and try and work at that one thing for as long as you can and as far as you can. Try and be as good at it as possible. Even if you figure out that things like it, what you're building is the discipline and the mindset that at least I'm going to finish something. Right? So many people they at least try see pushing limits on one thing, even if that thing is not the thing. I think it's supposed to test you. It's supposed to test you to see how far you can go and what you can achieve. Yeah.
But I also guess that when you look at what I'm thinking, as you're speaking, a lot of things are coming. I used to be a gymnast.
A gymnast?
Yes.
Similar balls, yes.
Yeah, I was a rhythmic gymnast. She's an artistic gymnast.
Yeah.
I was a rhythmic one with the ribbon, the ball, the hoop.
Oh,
yeah, the
okay. I didn't know there was a difference. I just like I saw people.
I think there's like 5 different types of gymnastics.
My goodness, yeah.
So when I think about what you just said, there were different things that I needed to do, like elements I had to learn. Just with any sports, there's discipline. It builds your character. That's why I'm just like people that don't allow their children to do sports or just is okay with them not playing sports. I'll never understand those people. I'll never, because it's just So when I think about what you just said, I never stopped. I never stopped until I got something right. I put in the work and I just never stopped. There were distractions as well because sometimes we train with different age groups. So the young ones, let's play, jump the hoop or jump the ribbon. I'm like, no, I don't have time for that. Because right now I need to focus on what I'm focusing on. And then I stopped because it became the training. It became all that I did, and I was young because I started when I was in grade 6. What's that? 11. 12, so to do something consistently like that and train every day, I was like, hey man, this is not my life.
It's not my life. Another fantasy that's there is that even if let's say you were born to do public speaking, okay? Mrs. Ward, I wonder where Mrs. Ward is. She was my drama teacher. And I stayed for teacher. You do prose and poems and monologues and duologues and prepare speeches and impromptu. One of the things that they make us do, one of the things I used to do all the time, which is what I still do now, is if I have a speech, I go through it over and over and over and over and over again, to such a point where I actually hate speaking. I don't like doing this thing anymore. But my issue was thinking that I would always like certain elements of the craft, even if it's what you meant to be doing. Because for me, that's a gift of mine. However, there are mechanics of it that you are not necessarily going to like. For example, managing projects. What do I like about it? Seeing a project to completion, communicating with people, stakeholder engagement. However, there are all those things that you have to do that you don't like to do. The admin, the catching up, the putting out the fires, or the consistent practicing over and over again. You're not going to like everything that you do. However, you may end up enjoying the results of it. I remember reading the story of a gymnast. Funny enough that you spoke about it. I don't know the names or anything. They felt like their trainer, or their Russian trainer, was too hard on them. So we was asked, why are you so hard on them? Then he said, they came to me and saying that they want to be the best gymnast that they possibly can be. I'm not here to make them feel good. I'm not here to make them feel nice or even love the sport. They say they want to have a gold medal, so I'm going to train them and be hard on them until they get to that gold medal. Then they'll come thank me. I'm like, that's actually a very sober mind to have. So whatever it is that you're doing, you say, I love cooking. I'm sure there's things you don't like about cooking. dishes. So there's certain things about a
But there's certain meals I'm just like, nah.
nah.
Yeah.
So is that what does it mean? There's certain elements of it that you don't like, but you can't but you can't be successful in a certain thing without accepting those elements. You know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's actually right back to the gymnastics example you just made. And I stopped. I actually stopped gymnastics because I'm just like, nah, man, I don't have time for anything else.
Yeah.
So I think 2 years later, I missed it, and I went back.
Yeah.
But I had to ask myself, why am I going back?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, because whatever level I compete in, I want to be the best, and I'll be the best until until it's time to obviously let go.
Yeah.
And every level, I had to start. That's another thing, is that sometimes you think you pick up where you left off.
Yeah.
I don't know, I was on level 4 or something.
That's
And when I came back, I'm just like, well, we can just, and the coach was like, no, let's go back to level 1.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? The rules have changed. There's
Yeah.
People have evolved from where you started.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so that's another thing. That's another thing that I need to take into the cooking, take into whatever it is I do now. And level 1, and then I managed to skip a few levels.
Yeah.
But I always had to keep, why are you doing this?
Exactly.
It's like I wanted the golden medal.
Yeah.
Today there was 5 because there were 5 different routines that we did.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, overall, I want a gold medal.
Good.
And when it was in grade, I think grade 10, I reached level 8, and you know, I thought of all the other levels. I was knocking it. I was knocking it. Level G, it's just another level up. And the mindset sort of changed to, I got this. I had gotten nothing. I came 6th in the country, and for that level, no, but it's bad. It's bad because I was used to top 3. If I don't get top 3, then I haven't won anything.
Okay.
You know, and my coach was just like, okay, let's move you. I'm like, no, you're not moving me up. When I move up, I need to be number 1. Because I feel like I've earned my moving up. You know, so I redid that level, and the next year I was SA champs.
Exactly.
I was in SA champ, you know.
SA champs are.
You know. But I had to take, and the reason why actually, when I think about it, it pops up even to today. Even today, I still recall, I don't let go of me being a gymnast, because the things I learned I still need to, it actually reminds me, remember when you were a gymnast, remember the mindset you had, remember you need to take that now and beef it up and use it here and use it here, and it comes up. Sometimes, you know, I dream about it. It's like, why am I still there? Why am I training? Because it's just like, because right now where you're at, you're training. You're not a pro in anything.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. So like that's one of the things that I want to do. I want to look like Frank Zane. I don't know if you know who Frank Zane is.
I think you should stop asking me about these people.
Not everyone knows who Frank Zane is. So Frank Zane is a professional bodybuilder, was, and he was
a professional what?
Bodybuilder.
Okay.
So he was the first one to have a physique that was acceptable to the normal man. You know, like now some bodybuilders nowadays, you just look at them like, no, I don't want to look like no. I want to look human.
Yes.
I want to look like when I've got all my clothes on, you don't know if I left or not. But like, when they showed up, like, dang, this guy works.
Yes.
Right? So that's what I want to work at. And then so when you training, you have to diet properly, you have to train properly. There are times when, because I love the gym, I really love the gym, and there are times where I don't want to go. I'm foodie. And one of the motivational videos they say, think about how you want to look like. That will keep you going. Think about what you want to look like, because that is the one thing that will keep you going. So one of the things, people don't have at least something in front of them, even if it's not what they will be doing for the rest of their life. Have something that's putting you towards finding something. Even if I remember one person came to me like, I don't know what my purpose is. It's like, okay, fine. Put finding your purpose in front of you. Make that your purpose, and then read up about it, and then read about it, listen to videos about it, and do something called exposure technique. Exposure technique is a manifestation technique where if you want to be good at something, let's say if you want to be good at self-discipline, you listen to all the things that you listen to are about self-discipline. YouTube videos, self-discipline. Books is about self-discipline until you draw that, because what you focus on is what you move towards. And put that in front of you, and then the person was like, oh, actually, I actually found that my own purpose is like writing stuff, because they read so much about purpose and then like decided to write about it. It's like, I actually like this thing called writing.
Oh, I see. The purpose was in the purpose.
Exactly. The purpose was in the purpose. It's like purpose inception. Purpose within the purpose. So the thing is, you have to have something put in you, right? Or else you're not going to make it. Like, for example, going through the marriage process. So I did a white wedding, traditional wedding 1, traditional wedding 2, and there was the one before that, and then there was the engagement part before that. 5 major milestones, and then my father also passed away. But like, what kept me going through that, and this is not cheap. 90% of the cost was on this guy had to pay for. But what kept me was the end goal. It was like, okay, the end is going to be so worth it when I'm done. Because there's so many times you just want to quit. People understand if you just like again. Especially if I learned I had to have certain ties and I had to do all these things. But you have to have that thing in front of you. So in terms of finding the purpose, like if you say my purpose is to find what my purpose is, then you just read about it and write about it and think about it, and then eventually what you see you'll end up finding, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it's important, what you seek.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to go to a part of the show now where you ask me questions. You're the host now.
Oh, wow.
Yes, you're the host. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
All right, welcome as a host. So yeah, what questions do you have to pose me? Allow my guests to interview me.
Yeah, I think our conversation actually has helped me.
Yeah.
But I think you've answered this. Like, what I view you as, you are very consistent and in what you do, in what you want. You've now spoken about there are times where you don't feel like it, but I think you've also answered. I was asking a friend, and so what really keeps you going? Like, it's just like most people are like, yeah, it's my why. Yes, okay, cool. Like, I understand. Yeah, like I really do understand the why part, but you know, sometimes you wake up and, as you said, you just like, okay, I've gone this far, but I'm saying in Kela, or is this a dead end, or how do you know that you're on the right track? I know the answers won't always be there. It requires you to move forward, but it's just like, okay, you keep moving forward. Sometimes you don't even see what you're moving forward towards. So what makes
what makes me consistent and keep
and make sure that you do not derail, because there's lots of distractions out there.
Oh yeah, a lot of those. Yeah.
Even within your mind, there's distractions. Makes things like, actually, I knew I was meant to be a speaker. How? But wait. You know what I'm saying?
I get you. For me, I think for me it's because I've been thinking about it for such a long time. For over 2 decades, I've been thinking, God, what is it that I'm supposed to be doing? So I remember I was 12 years old, and it was like that year was very tumultuous for me. I think the year before that, an uncle of mine was murdered, and then I lost my aunt, and I felt guilty about that because I had a chance to see her before she did, and I was really terrible at school, and also went through some interesting experiences that I'll share one day. During that year. So then at the end of it, my dad took me on a drive and asked me if I'm ever going to make it to university. And he likes education. So when he says, you're going to make it to university, he's like, are you going to be successful in life? Right? And then I was like, and also because I got like 22% for maths one time. Yes, yeah.
So is that where the question stemmed from?
Yeah, exactly.
Are you going to be successful in life?
In life, generally speaking. So then also, Another thing, I had a lot of people come to me and it's like, oh, you've got so much potential. You know? My teachers were like, you've got so much potential if you just applied yourself. If you just worked at it, you'd be good. And then I remember once in assembly, they asked me to read the Bible verse out. You know, like you don't do the
I
reading.
missed my reading. That day they decided not to read. I'm just like, wait, hello? That was my moment.
I would have been like this. So I took that. I was like, it wasn't, you know, like, let me just practice it. Let me just practice it. Chapter and verse. Peter said, I can't remember what the verse was. But so then I practiced it, and then I went, and then I gave the verse, and then I was sat down, and the principal was Thomas. Yes, I remember his name. And he was Thomas, like, you've got such a great voice. You speak so clearly. You speak so well. And that was not even in a derogatory type of way. You know, some people, the Caucasian, will come to us and say, you speak so well. What does that mean?
What does it even mean? And then they start asking you, what school did you go to?
Exactly. But it wasn't even like that.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, okay, well, this is actually quite good. So then, the grade 7, that's when I said, okay, I'm actually going to try studying, right? So I decided
when you say try studying.
Okay, not try. I'm actually, no, when I say try, I'm like, let me just actually study. Like, let me actually put effort into academia. Let me put effort into academia. When I do speeches, let me practice speeches.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Let me actually practice speeches. Let me actually try and apply myself.
Yes.
And then next thing, I started going from 0 to like 90s because I applied myself. And I didn't get a single award my entire existence.
Yes.
And then that year I was starting to get awards now.
Nice.
I was like, oh, fantastic. So I applied myself. And my dad was so proud and so happy. He bought me PlayStation games and stuff like that. So it was actually quite great.
Yes.
Then I was like, I don't want to have the feeling again of me not reaching my potential. You know what I mean? I don't ever want to. I hate that feeling because I know where I once was.
Yes.
And I don't like where I once was. And if it means that I have to really try and apply myself. And I found for me to say something's actually worth it, I need to work hard at it. And I need to be consistent at it. And then that doesn't mean I've been consistent in everything ever since then. And then I got curious about why are these kids beating me in school? Why are some of these kids good at tennis? Why am I being beaten in tennis? Why am I being beaten in this? Why are some people traveling overseas and doing these things? So that's where the first book came from. It was out of curiosity because I need to find the answer. And I still haven't found the answer. I'm still practicing the answer. So there are times where I started something and then I stopped and I'm like, where would I be? You know that thing you said, where would I be if I carried on?
Yes.
And then I would start things and stop things. And then I got to the point in my life where I said, let me, even if I don't like it. I remember when I wanted to get a distinction in honors, I said to myself, even if I don't like what I'm studying, even if it feels like I don't like what I'm studying, it's not about that anymore. It's about this thing that I need to prove to myself. Okay. So that's what a lot of things that I don't do, I'm trying to prove to myself. Yeah. So for example, the podcast, this I started in 2020. It's not the number one yet, but I said to myself, let me see how far I can go with this thing all on a consistent basis over 10 years. Okay. Then I can quit. Let me write a book every 2 to 3 years for the rest of my life. Nice. Let me put out content. Let me speak as much as possible. Let me do as much as possible every single day or on a consistent basis. Until then I can quit after 10 or 20 years because I want to see how far I can go. You know, some people will ask, so why is it that you, pretty much what you ask, why is it that you're doing all these things? Why is it that you're being consistent in this? Why is it that you're working hard? And then my question is, why not? Yeah. Why not see how much I can do, how far I can go, what I can become? Why not? There's also, I was speaking to someone today, I was like, yeah, I'm also enrolled for PhD. I need to submit my dissertation actually. My proposal. So, are you doing a PhD? Yes, guess in what? In what? Don't guess.
Is there such thing as a PhD in speaking?
I wish. Instead of doing a PhD in ministry and theology. Why?
Wow.
I feel like they've been lying to us. So
You feel like?
I feel like they've been lying to us. From a religious perspective. So
Okay.
like, I need to be as well learned as possible in it. And also it's actually quite fun for me to do. I have a colleague who's an atheist, believe it or not. So he's got a PhD in, I don't know, in the Bible. He's got a PhD in the Bible. So he also taught the Dead Sea Scrolls in Israel for like 7 years. I'm like, what? But you're an atheist. It's like, yeah, because if you have to argue about something, you have to know what you're talking about. Nowadays, people on Twitter, they talk about things they know nothing about. I don't want to be that person, which is the reason why I'm doing this, because I don't want to be that person. They're like, yeah, man, I've read it. Yeah, this is how things are. I'm like, you haven't read. I think that this person knows what they're talking about. Do you know what you're talking about? That's the thing. So that's why I'm doing the PhD, because I want to see how far I can go in everything. How far I can push it. So, and then also I hate regrets. I hate regret.
It's painful.
It's painful.
It's so painful.
Yeah, it's very painful to have that regret, to get to the end of my life and be like, yo, I could have become this, or I could have done this, or I could have done this.
Yeah.
So that's what keeps me consistent. I'm not always that as consistent as I would like to be. However, I do try to work towards it. So that's it comes from way back then where I was nothing really. When I say nothing, I wasn't trying. And then I know what it was. Now I know what it's like to actually try hard at something, and to be like, I actually tried hard at something, and I did it, and to see how far you can push your limits. So that's why.
Wow.
I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does answer my question, but what I like about your answer, it sounds very reflective and you're introspective of self. It's not something you woke up and said, no, I just remember my why, as I said earlier on. Like literally you went through every step of what you've been through and said, oh, okay, voila, this is what I did wrong, or this is what I learned from it, and I need to take this. And then you took that learning, and it's you built up on, just as you said, Uti, I want to see where I'll be in 10 years time, or if I do this consistently, what will happen in 10 years time. It's only because you still continue with that, that in mind. Nice.
No, I just know my why.
No. I think that's why even me, I struggle with women empowerment and because I'm not saying that no one else has gone through life. Everyone's gone through their own journey, as you said. Everyone's got their own journey. But when I look at my journey, it doesn't allow me to play by a book. It needs me to do exactly that. Introspect, reflect, remember where you come from. Don't just look at the bad, but also look at the good. Exactly. What do you do right? What are you doing wrong? And there's no book for that. I can't go to I can listen to all these beautiful speeches. That should just motivate you to dig deeper in yourself.
Exactly. So the third book will be released at the end of this year. As if I don't have enough things to do.
The one that you're currently writing.
Yes, Father of Man. An actual men's conference, not this 14 February fake men's conference where people want to run away from their romantic responsibilities. What a part of it is, the very first section is talks about this and do this thing about being integrity with yourself. Part of it is taking deep introspection on yourself and what happened, what didn't happen, what you feel you should have done versus what actually happened, what your parents did for you, what your parents didn't do for you, and also being able to tell yourself the truth. That's one thing that we just been meditating on. The truth, tell the truth, or at least don't lie. Dr. Peterson said that. Dr. Jordan Peterson said that. Tell the truth, at least don't lie. And the fact is that you can't get away with a falsehood. You can't get away with a lie. You can, like that guy who's willing to commit suicide after $10 million a year. Yes. It caught up with him eventually. The truth caught up with him eventually. And also there's another sort of podcast I did on how to kill your dreams, one of the way to kill your dreams is to make the dream all that matters. If you dream like the entire thing of like, I need to win this contest or else I'll fail in life. If you make that all it is, then you miss out on your family, you miss out on your friends, you miss out on the sun, the moon, the stars, everything you want, and more. You end up missing out on all those things. Okay, I'll put that in. End up missing all those things. So, people don't take time to think. People don't take time to think about themselves.
Because the people are rushing time. They think they don't have time.
Yeah, I think that you have time, and that you also don't have time. You have time to figure yourself out. What you don't have time is to live a falsehood.
Yes.
When you spend most of the time living a falsehood, like Dr. Tusos was saying, because you live a life that you should not be living. You live a life beyond your means. What I think living your life beyond your means means in terms of integrity with yourself. Because if you spend money on things that are important to you, that are really important to you, for you, then I don't think that's living beyond your means. But if you're trying to impress this person or that person and not being really introspective with yourself and just sitting and thinking, then I think you're wasting valuable time. So you have time to sort yourself out. If you don't have time to live a falsehood, and many people are living a falsehood because you build yourself from your words. And if you are saying things that you know are lies, what type of person are you being? And also, many people like to lie to themselves more than they lie to another person. They all say,
that's the most dangerous thing.
Yeah, very lying to yourself. Oh my gosh, if you lie to yourself, you're giving up on yourself because you do what you practice, and if you carry on living a lie and saying a lie, then you become a lying coward. It's very hard to tell the truth all the time, but it's much better than an invented falsehood. It's much better. And also people are like, I don't know what my purpose in life is. I think you're lying to yourself when you say that. You have an idea. It's up to you for you to go be introspective and for you to go and look for that purpose within yourself. What you're saying is that I want to ascribe to what other people say I should be. I want to make other people happy before I can make myself happy. And hence, that's why I think can be a cause of people being suicidal. Double HP, Robin Williams, now recently we had Rick. I think what happened there is that the pain of living outweighed the thought of them dying. And what I feel happens there, you'll never know why a person commits suicide, personally, you'll never really know. But I think a part of it is them making everybody happy except themselves. And these people were successful. Successful, but they were not fulfilled. And that comes from you living an invented falsehood. So the best adventure that you can take yourself on is to tell the truth. That's all the adventure that you will ever need. And if I've looked at some people's lives, who like things just keep going wrong all the time, like they've got all these traumas and they're always failing in school, they're always getting divorced, or they're always hurting themselves, or they find themselves in situations they shouldn't be. If you just study the lives of those people, they're entangled in lies, in a web of lies. Like it's not sometimes lies that they told themselves, but sometimes lies that their parents told themselves. I mean, I'm sure you've heard of stories of people lying to their child about who their father is, or who their parents are, or how they were conceived, or what was some deep, dark family secret that's there somewhere, and they end up acting in ways that they can't understand. And end up in addictive behaviors, like they are deep alcoholics, or they're addicted to cocaine, or they just their life is not going the way they would like it to go. They normally it's a web of lies that's surrounding them. So some people who feel lost in life is sometimes genuinely not their fault, but it's because of lies that society has told them that they've bought. And the entire thing was like, hey, imposter syndrome, see that much.
Yeah, well,
Could have been a lie that you were told.
mm,
So like trying to tell yourself the truth first. That tell yourself like be real honest with you, or be honest with yourself. I remember in university one guy failed, and it's like, gosh, I failed. This class was so hard. And I said, okay, what really happened? Like, no, it was just hard. Like, what really happened? Oh, the lecturer tricked us. No, what really happened? Nine. Nazo, ngakafundanga. And then once you face that, then you can be like, cool. Because when I was 12 years old, I could have easily have said, you know what?
Teacher doesn't like me.
And this thing doesn't like me, that there's like a society, a complete society, like big society, a complete society that's out there. But the truth is, I didn't study. I wasn't applying myself. I wasn't working. So people need to take time to be really introspective and really take time to think and to think deeply. So that's why I gave the answer that I gave, because I've been thinking about it for a very, very long time, and that's my truth.
And then in terms of, you mentioned that you're doing your PhD, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And what you mentioned that it's almost like you're seeking truth.
Yeah.
So do you find that in what you're studying and researching has it helped you in writing the book you're writing as well?
So
Are you just seeking truth because abantu banamanga, or is it more also revelations for you that actually you've read on the scripture, or you read on this book, and it's actually applicable? Or you can say, sometimes when I now walk, I'm just like, oh, I feel like I'm in the book of right now, because you know what I'm saying. So do you find that it actually sounds like everything is linking in your life?
Yeah, well, it took a long time. It took a long time.
And effort.
Yeah, it took a lot of time and effort. So why a PhD? So like it's like putting together the master's degree as well, then moving straight into PhD. Because you can do that.
Yes.
So for the master's part of it, moving to PhD is called prophetic ministry, and then the doctorate part of it is just ministry and understanding the church. And this is all in a Christian perspective, right? So for me, when I was 13, I was like, hey, God, if you help me get these marks, be successful in life, I'll give my life to you, right? Then I was really into Christianity and TV ministers and preachers, like Joel Osteen, John Hagee, and all these things.
Yeah.
And I started preaching at a very young age. I was like 15, in front of churches and at home and all these things, and I just loved praying, right? And then I was like, I could do this. I could be a minister, not a pastor, because that's too much work. These guys do now. I'm for some three. It's Trinidad, no, thank you. That's that first. So then when you growing up as a teenager, you struggle with a lot of things. You struggle with like, okay, this is what Christianity says it is. But then I'm having struggles with girls, and having struggles with alcohol, and having struggles with all these things, and then when you start, because the things I took things like more face value. More face value. I'm like, the chapter and verse says this is what you do. But then if I'm doing the opposite, I would feel bad.
Yes.
Only Lord to behold to say I didn't actually study hard enough where the actual Bible came from, who read it, who wrote it, and then all these church charlatans came out, but fully managed. I'm not gonna name many names, but people want to golden jets, and they're taking advantage of your mind and whatnot. And so that's why I was like, okay, that was part of my disillusionment. I'm like, what is this thing of life? I'm like, this God that I thought I knew, I don't even know if it's the real thing. And then also it's like, what's this whole thing of like what is that as well? So I came across this guy, Dr. John DiMartini. What he did, he studied everything. Like he studied Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, Taoism, everything. You could tell me more about ancestors than I could. I'm like, whoa, man telling me about ancestors, and then he said, and he knew the Bible. He knows it backwards. Like you say, let's see, question him on a verse, he's like, which translation? There are 256 different translations. Which translation are you speaking about? Is it Hebrews, Aramaic? Is it this? This is the context. This is where it comes from. And I'm like, how? I don't know exactly. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing here. So,
you know, like 3.
yeah, like I know like 3 verses now. Like, you know, those people that know like 3 verses all of a sudden they think they can level back.
It's just that you go through something, yeah, but the Lord is.
The Lord is my shepherd. That's all you know.
It's just like,
but what's the context of it? Like, people don't take time to think.
To think and to read.
Yeah, so for me, I find there's a lot of truth in those religious texts, but I don't believe it's what we've been sold. When I say we've been sold, okay, let me say in my experience, not what I've been sold. Where does it actually come from? Where was it actually put together? Okay. I'm starting to become very suspicious of a lot of things. Okay. And I think, again, that's another thing on this podcast, I can learn from different perspectives because I don't want to be narrow-minded. So, and part of understanding this, it's part of that sort of like unpacking childhood conditioning or something millions or so. And now you speak like this because I went to an Anglican school and I went to a charismatic church as well. I still go to the charismatic church as well, but I'm learning to like question as much as possible so that when I'm asked about something, I don't give an answer
based on
what somebody else told me one time. I want to I really unpack it. It's just that entire thing of being curious. So this master's and PhD, what it's allowing me to do is to carry on that curiosity. Okay. Carry on that thought process. It's not tied to the book that I'm writing at all. What it's helping me to do is to research and to think more about a topic. Because when I write a chapter, it's that exposure to me I was telling you about. For example, there's a chapter I'm writing about truth. I'm reading about the truth as much as possible, listening to the truth as much as possible, then I can come to my own conclusion of what this thing, truth is for me. Yeah, so that's why it's helping me a lot. And also my dad had a PhD. He wants one of his kids to have a PhD, and I'm the closest one to it. So I'm like, I might as well. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are my questions so far.
No further questions, Joanna.
No, I just feel like even in our conversation, you've answered like a few of the ones I had, not necessarily for you, but also for myself. Maybe you could have unpacked them, which I think you have. Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
All right, so glad I could share that. All right, cool. That has been, I told you, JD, 2 hours, 5 minutes. Yeah, I told you.
It made me literally think about my life.
Think about your life.
No, it's just like, you know what I feel?
Yeah.
When you're talking about, like I've got a job right now, right? Yeah. I'm not like upset at my job. Yeah. But I just feel like I don't think I belong here because I feel like I should be focusing on what I'm really good at. But then again, what I'm good at also requires money. Yeah. But also what I'm learning here, it's just like, okay, I could use this somewhere, but where? It's just this confusion of like, what am I doing here?
Yeah. So I think the fallacy about jobs as well is, again, I've also thought deeply about this as well. I don't think people can have the view that they have a job. I think everyone is their own business. And it doesn't matter who's paying you. Well, most people who are like the most successful people, like I try to study them, even if they have a job, they see themselves as their own enterprise, their own business. They are providing services to someone, and someone is paying them. Like think about LeBron James, basketball player. You know LeBron James.
Yes.
So LeBron James, some people say he's the second greatest player of all time. I still have him third, behind Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Jordan. That's just me being spicy. He is technically he has a job, right? Yes. He's employed as a basketball player for the Los Angeles Lakers. Yes. But you don't think about it that way. Why? Because he's LeBron James. He's got this name that he's been able to build. Yes. So he sees himself as his own business. And if you have that mindset wherever it is you go, is like, no, listen, I'm still no Khanya because I'm providing whatever services I am to this organization, and they
Yes.
pay me for the services that I am rendering.
Yes.
And even when you start a business, you know, there's that investment period whereby like you're taking that revenue, you putting it back into business to build it.
Yes.
Right. And that's the part of that is like you're doing things that you know that you don't want to be doing right now, but you know it's going to lead. It's helping to build you up to something else.
Okay.
So when you're at a quote unquote job, like what you're doing, you're providing services, and you focus on the skills that you are sharpening. Because when you're able to link the skills that you're building within that organization, the person that's paying you, and you know this, I want to like open up a culinary school, whatever it is, then you can take that and move into that. For example, you know, Theo Baloy, the guy who does Batu, owns Batu shoes. Yeah? Yeah, yeah. So anyway, he has the biggest, one of the biggest sneaker brands in the continent.
Okay.
Right? 30 years old. I need to get him on the show. He used to respond to my texts. He worked at PwC for about 5 years.
Yes.
And then he left PwC to start Batu. And then he used to sell those shoes on the streets out of his car, right? Now he was like GQ Businessman of the Year. He's built one of the best businesses in the country. And one of the posts that I saw him say is that I used my corporate experience and my hustling experience to build my own business.
Yeah.
So he didn't see us. He could have been like, oh, I'm stuck with this job at PLC. Oh, I'm stuck with this job. I'm stuck with this job. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm stuck here. However, he saw himself as I am Theo. I am my own business. I'm using this to build the skill, so that I can later on. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right actually, because when I was in events, and then I used that kind of skill to do my pricing. I didn't know how to write it or to create an invoice. And I'm like, hey man, I work with invoices every day.
Exactly.
I mean, I used that skill. In terms of creating a food menu, I used to do in the eventing space, you'd go do food, food tastings. So I'm like, oh gosh, I have to wait for that. So when I create this, I can actually create this with this. So, okay.
Exactly.
All right. Okay.
Exactly. So, I remember I was speaking to, I think it was grade 10s, 11s, matrics, and first years and second years. And they were asking, how do I get funding? I'm like, what do you mean funding for what? No, funding for my business idea. I'm like, okay, so we don't need funding. We need skills. The country needs skills.
Yes.
So for me, I have a skill in speaking. I have a skill in project management.
Yes. They
pay me for that.
Yes.
And that is how I get. That's when I think I find all these podcasts just for someone just to bless us somewhere. No. No. I provide a skill, a valuable skill that someone's willing to pay me for.
Yes.
And I developed that. Even there was some organizations that I hate it, but I focus on building the skill. So if you have a valuable skill that someone's willing to pay you for, that's how you get your funding. So people are seeing jobs that I feel completely the wrong way. The wrong way. If you say, I'm here to develop competencies, I'm here to develop skills, not to enjoy the job, then even if you wake up and everyone is uninspired at work, a lot of people are, you just say, I'm learning to build the skill of making an invoice or leading a project.
Understanding numbers.
Understanding how business works. I mean, so do people see, and I mean, people who get jobs, they are blessed to have their jobs, especially in this country with the unemployment rate being 43%. By the narrow definition, the broader definition is close to like what 50%. I may have those numbers wrong, but like the broader definition is people who have stopped looking for work.
Yeah.
The people with the narrow definition is those who are actively looking for work but can't get work. And I obviously think the numbers are more than like half in this country. I need to look at that. I need to look at those numbers again. But that's people see jobs the wrong way. So if you see it as I'm building a skill set, I'm building competencies.
Because you must remember that we don't leave the skill behind.
Never good for us.
And I think that's the last time I left the job. I was like, hey, I'm still an event specialist.
Yeah.
Like when I leave, I still
Specialist.
I can be hired anyway. I can start my own thing because
Exactly.
it's the skill that I've acquired. I have not left it at the company.
So that's why the second book I wrote was like addressing that exact same mindset. I'm saying you don't ever call yourself an employee, even if you're seen as a full-time employee. Don't ever say yourself as an employee. Say that you are a business that provides a skill set to someone.
I'm a service provider. A service provider.
That's
exactly what you are.
You're a service provider. I am a service provider. And the difference is, you know, it's not even a difference. The parallel is when you go out you send your CV out, what are you doing? You're doing marketing. You're doing marketing. And then marketing and sales. And then marketing, sales, PR. That's what's going on when you send your CV out. And then when you are negotiating your salary, what's that? That's contract negotiation. And that's closing the deal. And then when you are actually doing the work, what is that? It's operation, you're providing value, you are rendering the service. And then at the end of the month, what happens? You get compensated. Exactly. And then what you do with that money, do you reinvest into your business, or do you start expanding it? So people don't see those parallels until, again, I took time to sort of think about what the parallels are. So anyone who says, I have a job, is really limiting themselves. There's nothing wrong with having a job, but there is a problem with having a limited vision of yourself. So people are limiting themselves to just a job. No, it's not a job. You're a service provider.
Okay, actually, I'm going to look at it differently. I think because it's just like there's other things that I feel like I wish I was doing. So it just makes it seem as if you have this job. It's just like, okay, like today, I can say I know 3 new things.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, and I actually, when I left work, I was so excited. I'm like, I have actually learned something new. I can apply it, Sasa. I can actually apply it when I do this.
Exactly.
And okay.
Exactly. Yeah. You can apply it. It's a skill set in you, and you write it down. Put it on your product proposal. Yeah. CV.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? And then you can take that and start small with something else on the side. And I'll also make the argument that everyone should have some form of a side hustle. Everyone, some way, shape, space, or form. Why? Because you start to appreciate the mechanics of business, how things work. Then you will stop saying to your employer, they're not paying me enough, they're hard on me. Yeah, the reason why they're hard on you, because if you don't perform, lose money. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. If you don't
also accountability. People are easily hide behind at work, like in employment. It's so easy to blame the next person but when you're running your own baby, you can't blame nobody. It's you.
Exactly. And so also, like a lot of organizations have started adopting this mindset, saying that you are a career owner, or that you're the CEO of your career. They've latched onto the idea of saying if we instill this into our employees, then they're going to start taking more accountability and ownership. It's not up to me for me to set up the meetings and the one-on-ones and to set up the goals and for you to tell me how much you think you're worth and how much you're worth. It's not up to me to do that. It is up to you. You need to do that, not me. You need to do that. So that's why
the easiest part is that you've already got a platform that allows you to do that.
Exactly.
It's like there's nothing stopping you. Whereas if it was just your own, it is actually much more work.
It's a lot harder. It's a lot harder. So I now do not believe in this whole thing of being employed.
Okay.
Well, let's say if you go to start your own business, you are technically employed by who? Your customer. That's your boss.
Yes.
Exactly. For example, if I'm at your restaurant, I'm your boss to that day. That day I'm your boss and I'm paying you, right?
Yes.
Your boss is nothing more than the person who pays you and the person that you're serving.
When you complain about my food, it's my responsibility to make sure that all I do is something wrong in this. It's not I can't blame you.
Or you said it was going to be succulent, it's not succulent.
Yeah, it's not succulent.
Exactly. And a lot of people who have got this mindset of like I'm a boss, they end up I say, you think about it this way: if you are given bad service, you will lose your mind. You want your money back. You want it back now. But you give other people bad service. And you think it's okay.
So it's like when people fight for bonuses. Yeah, you gave me such little.
Well, did you
deliver?
Did you deliver? And also the thing about that is that if you're a business and your client that's not paying you, you fire the client. Same thing in the quote unquote job market. If you have that client is not paying you what you're worth, and you are honest with yourself, you're doing the work, you're putting in the efforts, and you just find another client. The end. So that's why if you have that mindset that you are far more empowered and you're not going to wait on the government to help you. They do a lot of good things, but they're not going to like force feed you and do other things. I remember I was driving past I think saw it a couple of days back, just driving past, and then I stopped at an engine garage, not a gas station, garage, and there was about a fully line. And the person I was with would say, but grant. Hey, grant. Some of the people, they don't want to take responsibility and work. And to the credit as well, sometimes they can't get their work. It's not their fault. But what I was intrigued by is that there are some people that I have heard, I'm not going to say if this is true, that they don't want to work, they'll just have a hungry way wow.
Some of them actually have babies based on that.
And
it's like, but
is that sustainable?
It's not even sustainable though.
Yeah, exactly. But a person, but in the same era, you'll find the person running his panzer shop saying, I'm not going to live that life, I'm going to be my own boss, I'm going to do something and build their skill. People who've got the mindset like, I am my own business, I am my own boss. Do you have the second book? Yes or no?
I've got
Inspired Success, and do you have the second one?
What's the second one?
You Are a Business, Treat Yourself Like One.
Yes, I think I have 2 good books.
Oh, okay, great. There's a video and I was going like, here you go.
Sorry, one more question. In terms of, I think the last time we spoke about, it was actually the activities in your book. Do you come up with those based on trial and error? Or like, how did you come up with those different activities and steps? Because I mean, I actually I feel like I've got a different perspective on how you've actually written your book.
So I read a lot, and in the self-help genre, business book genre, literature, one of the things I did not like of what some of the literature that's out there, it just talks about the idea you move on with your life. Okay, so right now. And then there was a guide that I read in 2011. I was trying to become a genius. It talked about how to be a genius and how to manifest things, like a more esoteric manifestation intelligence, right? And then it sort of inspired me to develop my writing style specifically for these range of books I have. It will talk about an idea that people have been thinking about a lot, and then here's the idea, but what does it mean for me? And what does it mean for you now? What do you want to do come Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? Practically, what can you do? What can you try? So what I do is I'll think about that idea and then research steps people have taken. I'm like, okay, this step makes sense. So I'll write it down and then go try it myself. And then obviously within a limited time window. If I try it myself and I see some results, I'm like, right, let's move on next. So that's why it takes me about 2 to 3 years to write it. Because I mean, getting the ideas down is fine. Getting the steps better down is fine. It is the trying of the book, the steps in the book, and trying it. So that's why it is research and then trial and error. I need to try it. So for example, with the next book I'm writing, Father of Man, it's the most introspective book I've ever written because now I'm looking at childhood issues, unpacking your childhood, unpacking your psychology, what it means to be a male, what's going wrong, what can we fix, and I've been thinking about this problem since 2019.
And it's quite interesting because not a lot of males are willing to talk about it. So I'm excited about
I
it
think
for
that's
you
what,
and for many males out there.
no, it's like, like I'm a capitalist, so you know I'm going to sell this more to females. Because they're like, oh, I want my man to act right, oh, I want a good man, oh, I want a good man. Here you go.
You're gonna have the men's conference.
Of course, I'm gonna have the men's conference when you drinking beer. I'm like, hey, yeah, so so the introspection part of it is that I'll write this chapter and then sit and think about it, go and unpack it, and then go look at my past. I'm like, and then what it means to like actually be a man and take accountability and learn, and also. Like trial and error. That's why it takes 2 to 3 years because I need to write it and then research it, write it, and then apply it. As if I'm testing it, like as if I'm writing it, because every book is like a thesis.
Yes.
And then my problem statement,
yes.
the hypothesis, and then I want to go test the hypothesis.
Yes.
And then hence I've got a thesis. Thesis is something new that wasn't there before.
Yes.
So that's actually where the PhD also helps because it's a thesis.
Yes.
It's something you have a problem statement, you have a hypothesis that you have to prove or disprove, and arrive at a conclusion. So for me, this is my conclusion, not the conclusion.
Yes.
There's a difference between the conclusion and my conclusion. So that's how I come up with the books. And the important part of it is that I don't want to be long-winded. I don't want to overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
This is what it is.
Yes.
And then move on.
Yes.
That's it. And also, the level of understanding. I want someone who's 12 years old to be able to understand it.
Yes.
And also part of it, like I'm writing for myself, wishing that I read what I wrote.
Maybe also this is also a form of healing from that childhood trauma right now, because you had to revisit it. Maybe it knocked at your door and said, "Hey, you haven't dealt with me."
Yeah, exactly. So every book I write, I'm trying to solve a problem that I have and other people have. Because I was like brainstorming, because it's like I pre-plan, project managers pre-plan like the books that you want to write. Then the whole gender-based violence thing started. The whole thing, and then it just started becoming more and more and more. And then also I was looking at myself. I'm like, listen, I've been that guy. That guy that's not a big woman. But I wasn't the best version of a man, whatever that was. And then also I had the privilege of having a strong present father figure for 29 years of my life.
Yes.
That's a very big privilege in this country, or in the world. Very big privilege. So then I was like also trying to unpack this. I'm like, he set the standard. So he even told me, I even said to him, like, yo, I remember the 31st anniversary, and my mom was like, I also want to be married for 31 years and be a good dad like you and whatnot, because when I got to university, I used to talk with my dad all the time. My dad is this, my dad is that, my dad's that. Hey, people who come from different background, the dad left them or whatnot, just start looking at things like, oh, you brag. I'm like, no, I'm not bragging. I thought this was normal, but it's not normal because I live in a bubble. So I said that it's like, if you don't, you pretty much shaming the legacy. Shaming the legacy. So I used to think about it all the time, and my behaviors, I won't get too deep into it, my behaviors were not of that of a person who was not like, I used to be an because I'm an F-boy.
So you didn't quite reflect what it is that you're aspiring to.
What is it I'm aspiring to? Is this the highest level? Remember, I want to get to the highest level of everything. This is the highest level of masculinity that I can reach. So I started asking myself the question of that. And then there's a lot of attack on masculinity, a lot of attack on men. And I feel the conversation is too focused on what's going on with the females, like how the females are being hurt and beaten and not being taken care of. Yes, we also know that, but then there's the other side of it, where women can be trashed too.
Yes, definitely.
100%. I didn't think that way, but It's real. There are many stories of that.
Yes.
So I wanted to look at both sides because it's dismissive to say that all men are trash. It's very dismissive.
Yes.
It's also dismissive to say that all men are crazy.
Yeah.
I think it's more of a human issue than it is just a male or female issue. But more importantly, it starts in your childhood. What happened, what didn't happen in your childhood. Some men who beat their women saw that behavior in their parents. Or some of them saw their mother really emasculate their father. And they'll be like, I'm not going to be like that, hence I'm going to assert my dominance over somebody else. So it's really, it can be twofold. I think one side of the story is being told, but my focus is on healing the inner child, like dealing with the child first. After that, then you can start feeling like what it means to be a man, wow, before resolve things are going wrong, what will the society will need from men, and more, how do we build men for the future? With like good parenting strategies.
Yes.
So I can't talk about implemented parenting strategies as yet.
Yes.
But I've seen what works. I've seen what works. So it all comes down through that trauma era. But this is a very painful book to write. Very painful because it really requires that overcoming that imposter syndrome I was talking about.
Yes.
Am I the best version of a man, or why should I be writing this book? And then two, unpacking all those childhood traumas I was like telling you about. It's like, it's but end of this year it will come out.
Looking forward to it.
100%. Alright, so I think that's our time.
Yes.
2.5 hours. Told you.
Oh, wow.
So that's me and Khanya Nkosi. She is a traditionalist. She's a foodie. She's making things out of things that are not things. It's not a thing. I'm sure you're one of those people who has toilet paper, serviettes, and tissues, and act like these things are not the same thing.
Yeah, they are the same thing though.
They're the same thing.
They're
See? About the true foodie. Thank you very much for the time that we talked on. We covered a lot of ground actually.
Thank you.
Thank you. And guys, remember that success is the progressive realization of where the ideal. That means you're going after what you always want to go after because it's aligned with your highest values, and that is the only way for you to live a true fulfilled life. Go after what's worth it for you, and I will see you on the next episode. Thank you very much. I'm joking. I just said I'm the last guest. I was like, oh, sorry. Here we go. I love these conversations. See, I love having this thing here because it's charged and ready for load sheet.
So what's it operating on?
Batteries.